The story begins with Ryu waking up from a dream, or for him more of a nightmare. He dreamt of a boy and a girl apologizing for leaving him behind. Since he's a beast tamer, Ryu can't fight and go with them. They tell him to stay put and take care of the animals instead. His hand had reached out to them, telling them to wait for him. Ryu is still in his bed. His dream had been so vivid that his hand had really extended like in his dream. His day soon starts going out to feed the cows. Being a beast tamer has its perks, like this cow who lovingly coddles, thanking him for the feed. A girl soon arrives with a cat in her arms. She calls out to Ryu and thanks him for taking care of her cat. Thanks to Ryu, it's doing great now. Hearing this, Ryu happily gives the cat some gentle petting. The girl is pretty much impressed with Ryu's skills as a beast tamer. Not only is he running a ranch, he also does checkups for animals. On the outside, Ryu laughs the compliment off. But in the inside, being a beast tamer wasn't really his first pick at all. Like, nope, one's profession is determined at the church. Ryu was bestowed beast tamer, hence why he runs a ranch. His two childhood friends, however, were labeled Hero's Egg and a Mage. The Hero's Egg trained with the knights to eventually become a hero. The Mage started studying magic at the church's magical academy, and eventually the two of them achieved great success. So off they went on a journey to save the world. Sounds familiar? Yep, Ryu's dream. With his erratic thoughts, Ryu doesn't realize his grip on the pitchfork tightens, and he's not really tuning in what the girl's saying anymore. When the girl calls his attention out, Ryu jumps a bit and apologizes for being inattentive. The girl then continues her babbling, telling Ryu that his two childhood friends are actually coming back to town soon. After that, Ryu finally takes a break from all the hard work. He ventures out in the forest yawning and stretching his aching muscles. He then remembers about dreaming of his friends coming back, and now, they actually are coming back. Taking a trip down memory lane, Ryu recalls playing with his two friends almost all the time. It wasn't long till his friends had to go and train with their respective skills areas though. That's why Ryu started using his beast tamer skills to play with dogs and cats, or even helping hunters care for their hounds. A thought then passes his mind. If only he had tamed a legendary beast like a Fenrir. Maybe at that point Ryu would have had the chance to keep up with them. Shaking his head, Ryu calls his delusional thought ridiculous. Moments later, he hears something rustling in the bushes. Ryu quickly goes to check it, wondering what could it be when no one really comes around in this area of the forest. Ryu initially thinks it could be a person, but boy is he going to have the shock of his life. It's actually a wolf, a black and beautiful wolf. In fact, Ryu is so mesmerized with its beauty right now. One thing catches Ryu's attention. It's the trap clasped onto the wolf's leg. Kneeling, Ryu extends his hand to help free the wolf from the trap. However, the wolf starts rustling and growling, eventually biting onto Ryu's arm. Lucky for Ryu, he's wearing thick gloves. Ryu immediately has his other hand on the wolf, telling it to calm down. He quickly gets the trap off the wolf's leg and looks for a potion in his pockets. All the while, the wolf has just been staring at Ryu, like it's observing his actions. Once he finds the potion, Ryu wastes no time and pours it onto the wolf's leg. He then gently tells the wolf to go on and leave. Remembering he also has work to do, Ryu gets up and leaves as well. Later that night, lying in his bed, Ryu wonders if the wolf from earlier made it back to its pack. He then hopes the wolf doesn't end up alone like him. Ryu lets out a big yawn, wanting to sleep because it's already late. But how could he do such thing when he has an unexpected guest sitting on his windowsill? Ryu jolts from his bed when he hears something greeting him good evening and telling Ryu what a lovely moon they have tonight. He then agrees with the wolf. In his mind, Ryu confirms this wolf to be from earlier. But wait, did it just talk? So this creature isn't a wolf but a monster. The creature then tells Ryu it came because it has a question for him. Ryu starts internally panicking. If this beast can speak human tongue, then it's a higher tier species no doubt. When Ryu says he'll answer its question as long as he's able to, the creature appreciates Ryu's honesty. If Ryu makes a wrong move, he's sure he'll be dead in seconds. It then asks Ryu as to why he chose to help the creature and even using a valuable potion to heal its leg earlier in the forest. Ryu is in a crisis right now. He definitely can't say the creature reminded Ryu of himself. It'll see right through him and kill Ryu instead. A startled Ryu is brought back to his senses when the creature tells him to hurry up with his answer. Its middle name isn't really Patience, if I must say. Closing his eyes, Ryu decides to risk it and says he helped the creature because Ryu thought it was beautiful. The creature's mouth drops to the floor, even more flabbergasted when Ryu adds how he thought it would be such a waste to let something so beautiful die right there. The creature couldn't take it anymore and throws on a fit of laughter. It's lived so long, but this is the first time it's hearing such a ridiculous reason for helping it. Covering its mouth, the creature calls Ryu a one-of-a-kind. Out of all of the humans it's saved for fun, Ryu is top tier, a rare commodity. So Ryu helped for nothing? He is not impressed. Calling Ryu's attention, the creature asks Ryu for his name since it has taken a liking to him. It even tells Ryu that he doesn't need to be so formal. After Ryu tells the creature his name, it suddenly announces that Ryu belongs to it starting right now, and no objections are allowed. Dumbfounded. Ryu is dumbfounded. He then asks what it meant with belonging to the creature. It exactly means how it sounds like. Because Ryu doesn't seem to understand the whole sitch, the creature tells him that it's taking Ryu home as its pet. Yup, Ryu is now the creature's a pet. Before Ryu could make any violent reactions, the creature suddenly transforms into its true form. Gone is the tiny, timid wolf. Right now, Ryu is staring at a humongous Fenrir who also destroys his rooftop. Well, be careful what you wish for, Ryu. The Fenrir then takes Ryu by its mouth and off it goes to the deep forest, leaving Ryu's home destroyed. Arriving at their destination, the Fenrir drops Ryu to the ground. That was one of the most uncomfortable means of transportation ever, too. The moon glows brightly in the forest. Ryu is mesmerized by the view above him. And it's not the moon. Ryu is standing below a cliff. Above him is a pack full of angry Fenrirs. Amongst the Fenrirs is a massive one, standing proud and strong. This must be their leader. There must be at least 30 of its members present right now. And all the Fenrirs have one thing in common. They're all glaring at Ryu. Let's hope it's not the end for him. The leader finally speaks out, calling Ryu's kidnapper its daughter. The leader then asks as to why his daughter brought a human to their home. After telling its father that she liked Ryu, the father became furious AF. It's not a valid reason for him. Shifting its anger towards Ryu, the leader asks the beast tamer where he met the Fenrir's daughter. Knowing full well he's being targeted, Ryu gives him a quick respond, telling the Fenrir leader they met at the ranch where Ryu works. The leader barks another question, asking how exactly the two met, to which Ryu honestly says he saved her when she got caught in a trap. This time, the leader seems to be suspicious of Ryu, telling the beast tamer that his daughter can break human traps in an instant. So why save her? Ryu screams with all his heart, explaining how the Fenrir daughter told Ryu that it was just a game she plays, pretending to be caught. The Fenrir leader's anger dissipates, obviously dismayed that this is happening again. Before the situation further escalates, the Fenrir daughter speaks up once more. She tells her father that Ryu is a beast tamer who can perform medical diagnosis on beasts and animals. She believes that her grandfather, the Fenrir elder, will be cured. The Fenrir leader is skeptical of his daughter's claims, saying the elder's condition is because of old age and no human can save him from death. But the Fenrir daughter argues that the elder's illness is actually from a lack of magical energy, disclosing she's the reason why. Hearing their conversation, Ryu manages to get caught up with what's happening inside this pack. So the elder, the boss OG of the Fenrirs, is basically dying and Ryu got kidnapped because she wants to save her grandfather. Seeing this as his window of opportunity, Ryu butts in their argument and asks to see the grandfather Fenrir so he could diagnose it. However, the Fenrir leader screams bloody profanity at Ryu, refusing to let Ryu see the old Fenrir. Pointing to the Fenrir daughter, Ryu tells the leader that his daughter wants to save her gramps. Ryu then makes a plausible argument by telling the Fenrir leader that there's no harm in letting him see the old Fenrir. If it's really dying from old age, then Ryu will gladly step back. There is no harm in trying, right? The Fenrir daughter looks at Ryu, seemingly touched by the Tamir's words. The Fenrir leader then allows Ryu to make his medical examination on the old Fenrir, pessimistically telling Ryu it's only a waste of time. They all approach a tree and inside it lies a disheveled Fenrir who looks like it has gone through hell and back. The Fenrir daughter wakes the elder Fenrir, but before she could formally introduce Ryu, the tamer holds his hand up, signaling her to stay quiet. Ryu stretches his hand and introduces himself. He also tells the elder Fenrir that he's there to treat its illness since it's his granddaughter's wish to save the old Fenrir. Coming out of the tree hole, the elder Fenrir slowly stands up and tells Ryu no ordinary human can cure his disease, but Ryu is confident that he can. But healing the elder Fenrir won't be any beneficial to him. So Ryu wants to make a deal. All the other Fenrirs are shocked with Ryu's bold request. The Fenrir leader is furious now, calling Ryu a lowly human and traitor. He also wants to kill him right then and there. The Fenrir daughter steps in to defend Ryu, asking her father to wait for a bit. Meanwhile, the elder Fenrir asks Ryu if he really believes he can cure him. A confident Ryu replies yes. When asked what he wants, Ryu tells the elder that he wants to become stronger. Curious, the elder Fenrir asks Ryu why, to which the beast tamer tells him that he has the same reason as the elder's granddaughter. She wanted to save the elder but couldn't do anything, so she came to Ryu for help. That alone shows how badly she wants to save the elder Fenrir. Ryu knows how frustrating it is to be powerless, remembering how he was left behind by his closest friends. The elder then makes his decision, accepting Ryu's deal. Ryu then takes off one of his gloves. All the elder Fenrir needs to do now is bite into Ryu's arm and drink his blood. Huffing, the Fenrir leader calls on Bull with Ryu's so-called cure. The elder hesitates for a second, but Ryu encourages him to have a sip. When the elder finally has his fangs into Ryu's arm, a powerful burst of energy surges throughout the elder. It's that powerful that even the Fenrir leader and his daughter barely manages to brace themselves. As soon as the elder lets go of Ryu's arm, the beast tamer dramatically cries from the pain of the bite. The Fenrir daughter is confused and surprised with Ryu's level of magic power. No beast tamer could ever be this powerful. At this rate, he's even stronger than a hero. This isn't a shocker to Ryu at all, he already knows his MP. He has reasons why, okay? To simplify things, Ryu has way too much magical energy for his body to handle. If he goes all out, his body would literally explode. In other words, his magic is so high he can't use it properly. In normal circumstances, magic grows as a person undergoes training and discipline. But Ryu hit the bingo card because he was born with it. And the older he got, the more it increased as well. Somehow. It's a waste of potential since Ryu can't properly use it. Meanwhile, the elder Fenrir is fully transformed. He is not the old, scrumpy Fenrir from earlier. Now the elder is full of vigorous energy. To say that Ryu's magic helped is an understatement. The elder somehow got an upgrade. The Fenrir daughter immediately runs towards her grandfather to give him a warm embrace. She's really happy to see that her grandfather is nowhere near death now. The elder then turns to Ryu, remembering their deal. It then tells Ryu that he'll start training with the Fenrir pack. Ryu doesn't know if it's okay, especially that there are those against it. Exhibit A, the Fenrir leader who is viciously reacting to the elder's decision. There are also others saying that Ryu is far too suspicious, especially with his power. They believe his power might be used against the pack and will put it in danger. When a Fenrir suggests they kill Ryu now, the elder then barks for them to shut up. The atmosphere suddenly goes dark as the elder is unimpressed with the Fenrir's insubordination. Anger surges through the elder, asking the pack as to where they got the audacity to say they'll kill the man that saved its life. The pack whines and bows in fear. Even Ryu is getting scared with the elder's anger. Whispering, Ryu asks the Fenrir daughter on who exactly is the elder. She casually tells Ryu that the elder is actually the very first Fenrir. Through training and evolution, the elder became what he is now. No wonder the elder is that powerful. The atmosphere soon turns back to normal and the elder asks Ryu for his decision. The beast tamer is still adamant. Will he really be able to control his magic if he trains with the pack? The elder then tells Ryu he'll need a lot of power and determination to do so. Ryu will live and eat with the Fenrirs in the forest. Eventually, he'll break through his human limits and become strong enough to wield his magic. But this comes with an ultimate price. It may all sound so easy, but it isn't. Ryu might die trying. He knows this. The only thing comforting him is the thought of being reunited with his friends. If he can be with his friends again, then he'll gladly take the risk. Resolute, the beast tamer confirms his decision on training with the Fenrir. The elder then presents Ryu with a fang. Not just any fang, but the fang of the elder himself. Ryu is absolutely thrown to the roof upon knowing it's a Fenrir fang. It's an insanely rare and valuable item. The elder explains that the fang will help Ryu control his magic. The Fenrir daughter then interrupts the men by saying she'll take care of some things too. Gripping the fang, Ryu's goal now is to get stronger in order for him to catch up with his friends. This is the start of a new chapter in Ryu's life. A month passes by so fast and Ryu is already getting the hang of his hellish training. Right now he's in the middle of battling out a pig-headed demon beast. These beasts have very predictable movements and Ryu has seen through all of them. First, dodge its club. An opening is made so Ryu then slices its arm. While it's stunned by the pain, Ryu then goes for the leg, and when it loses its balance, aim for the neck. And there you go, killing pig-headed beast 101 with Ryu. After that, he then turns to tell the Fenrir daughter, who's actually called Milady, that he's killed one beast. On Milady's side, well, she's just yawning while lying on the pile of pig-headed demon beasts she just finished. It seems that Ryu was too slow that Milady ended up taking care of the rest of the beasts, just as what Ryu would expect from a Fenrir. After training, the two start a bonfire so they could make something to eat. Ryu is wiped from training. While munching, Ryu grumbles about training. He can definitely handle low-level monsters now. However, he's got a long way to go. Indeed, he's gotten stronger from when he started. Milady even recalls Ryu's first day of training. He could barely dodge a pig-headed beast attack and now he's able to defeat one. After a solid month of being thrashed by a pack of Fenrir, that would really solidify Ryu's training. He got chased by Fenrirs to build stamina. He learned survival skills like how to start a fire. That was a rough one even for Milady. They almost died of hunger in the forest. Ryu also ate mildly poisonous berries to build up poison resistance. That wasn't fun either. It almost felt like he was more on adapting to survive rather than getting stronger. Taking out the elder's fang, Ryu is still happy about receiving this gift. It's unbelievably sharp too. Milady boasts pride of her grandfather. She's incredibly proud of him, of course. Realizing it just now, Ryu thinks it's also a pretty big deal that the elder's granddaughter is looking after him as well. Ryu's train of thought is interrupted when Milady rehashes what really happened to her grandfather before. Her demeanor suddenly drops as she remembers how she pestered the elder for a name. Naming a magical beast involves bestowing a part of one's soul and a massive amount of magic power. The elder attempted the naming ritual but suffered from magic power depletion. Ryu tries comforting Milady, giving her a gentle pat on the head. She did everything to save her grandfather. The elder even told Milady not to fret about it anymore. He would very much be happier to see Milady smiling rather than sulking. A Fenrir then butts in, rushing to call Milady. Apparently, the elder has a message for them. But before the Fenrir could get to it, the Fenrir looks at Ryu vilely. After giving Ryu a snarky greeting, it then tells Ryu that the elder wishes to discuss his training. It then orders Ryu to head over to the elder as to not keep him waiting. Arriving at the giant tree, both Ryu and Milady greet the elder. Almost immediately, Ryu voices his concerns on the elder showing him so much favor. This much attention from the elder has a lot of the pack members unhappy about it. Even that messenger was glaring daggers at Ryu. Barking out a laugh, the elder tells Ryu not to fret about those things. It won't matter because the elder's the one who brought Ryu here to train. Besides, the rest of the pack will soon have to acknowledge Ryu as a true member of the pack. With deadly seriousness, the elder announces Ryu's upcoming trial. A show of strength is the swiftest solution to those harboring discontent with Ryu's presence. If he overcomes this trial, he will become a true member of the Fenrir pack. Ryu initially shows a split second of fear, but then remembers his goal here and asks what his trial is. The elder then orders Ryu to hunt a cockatrice, the rooster fiend bird. There is only one condition to this. Ryu is to hunt the beast alone. Hearing this, Ryu is now worried. A cockatrice is a top-tier beast. Even B-rank guild adventurers hunt in parties for it. But the elder wants a novice like him to supposedly hunt it alone? Totally insane. Milady asks her grandfather if she can possibly offer assistance. However, the elder quickly disapproves. This trial will serve as a catalyst for Ryu's greatest growth. Tackling this trial alone will define the true nature of his training and hard work. Besides, the elder has noticed Ryu hasn't really mastered the power of the fang yet. Ryu then stares at the fang in his hands. He only knows it's sharp. But there's more to it than meets the eye. The fang can easily channel magic power. Ryu needs to learn to entrust his own power to the fang, convey his will, and the path shall open before him. If Ryu can realize this, then hunting a cockatrice will be a walk in the park. More like a cockadoom. Ryu might not understand it now, but he soon will. The elder then informs Ryu that his trial will be at sunset and tells him to rest until then. The time finally comes for Ryu's trial. Both him and Milady are currently hiding in the bushes, observing a cockatrice as it petrifies a passing animal. It then steps on the animal's stoned figure and screeches into the night. This looks bad. I mean, look at that cockatrice. It has evil eyes that can petrify you with just one look, and its tail is a venomous snake. Yup, a snake for a behind. It's a serious pain in the butt, per se. The only silver lining that Ryu can think of is that the cockatrice has poor bird-like eyesight and a narrow field of vision. Ryu also hopes that it can't fly as well. Chicken don't fly, right? Milady asks Ryu as to how he's feeling right now, to which he quickly replies that he's not okay, not even the slightest. But he has no choice but to do this. Ryu then stands up to head out and get this over with. Milady then tells Ryu to be careful not to die or get turned into stone. He'll definitely try, Milady. Hiding behind a tree, Ryu devises a plan to reduce its number of attacks first. Facing its main body and the snake tail simultaneously is risky, so right now he plans on attacking just one part. He changes his mind and quickly lunges for the snake tail, slicing it in half. The cockatrice bellows in pain, but Ryu isn't finished yet. He dashes for the cockatrice's legs to stop the main body from moving. But before Ryu can slice its legs, it manages to flick Ryu to the side before running away. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Ryu can't stop now though. Seeing that the beast has lost sight of Ryu, he then plans on attacking the cockatrice on its blind spot. An opening from behind the beast's head is where Ryu is jumping onto. But before Ryu can successfully land his attack, the cockatrice flies towards the sky. Yep, you heard me, it can fly. At least this chicken can fly. Flabbergasted, Ryu wasn't expecting such turn of events. And now he is cornered. His attacks can't reach the cockatrice now that it's up there. While Ryu plans on waiting for the cockatrice to come down, it suddenly flaps its wings and sends out a slicing attack at Ryu. He barely manages to dodge the attacks, while the surrounding trees are already cut in pieces. At the side, Milady worriedly asks if Ryu is alright. He is somehow. That gust of wind did manage to slice Ryu's skin on his arm. Ryu didn't expect this beast to be able to do magic as well. Flying and magic power? Not a good combo. The cockatrice is still in the air, waiting for Ryu to show himself. The tamer is still trying to devise a plan B. It'd be great if he had a long-range attack. But Ryu's magic can barely help with his daily chores and is completely useless for combat, or so he thought. He remembers the fang in his hands. Staring at it, he also recalls what the elder told him about the fang being a catalyst for his magic power. Could it be possible for him to launch attacks like the cockatrice did earlier? The cockatrice screeches once more, having found Ryu's hiding place. It then flaps another attack at Ryu, slicing through the trees. Ryu has no choice but to try the elder's advice from earlier. Either way, if he doesn't do something, he's dead meat. Halting on his feet and closing his eyes, Ryu forges his magic power towards the fang. His magic power swells as Ryu is surrounded by some kind of light. Even Milady notices the power surge from Ryu. Inside his mind, Ryu forces himself to relax and channel magic power into the fang little by little. He's picturing highly concentrated ink gathering at the tip of the fang, and when it's charged to its absolute limit, he fires it. Ryu fires it directly at the incoming cockatrice. Ryu's attack is that powerful, it manages to slice through the cockatrice's head while it's still in the air. The cockatrice then lands on the ground with a loud thud, completely headless. Looking at the cockatrice's lifeless body, Ryu can't believe it actually worked. Milady finally comes out from hiding, congratulating Ryu for clearing his trial successfully. Before Ryu could finish how he's so glad about it, he collapses to the ground from pure exhaustion. He slowly apologizes to Milady and tells her he's going to sleep for a while. Of all places, Ryu had to sleep here. Well, Milady understands and just stays with Ryu. With eyes closed, Ryu is happy the trial's finally over and he can rest. He then feels a hand on his hair, causing him to open his eyes a bit. He definitely felt a human hand, but he's the only human there. Before Ryu finally gives in to his tiredness, he catches a glimpse of a girl. His consciousness finally fades as he goes into deep slumber. From the elder's POV, it really is a girl beside Ryu. She even tells him to rest well. As Milady watches over Ryu, she tells him how he did splendidly with his trial, congratulating him once more for being a member of the pack now. As soon as Ryu wakes up from his sleep, he is instantly greeted by a weird show of affection from the pack members. Everyone wants to play with him. Some are even offering dead rabbits for a meal, and there are those who want to join Ryu in his training. The pack members are now vying for Ryu's attention, which Ryu doesn't know how to respond to. Milady approaches Ryu and tells him the good news of passing the trial. Ever since that day, Ryu's super popular now. It does make Ryu happy, but it's not really easy getting swarmed by Fenrirs all day every day. Even his body and clothes are a mess too. Milady calls this an upgrade. Everyone acknowledges him now, and Ryu has improved in hunting too. There's still one Fenrir who can't fully accept Ryu though. The Fenrir leader aka Oyaji still won't acknowledge Ryu as a pack member. Right now he's hiding behind a tree while staring daggers at Ryu. His energy emanates pure hatred that Ryu can feel it from afar. Suddenly, Milady's mother calls Oyaji from behind. She angrily steps on her husband's head, putting a stop to his childish behavior. She also scolds Oyaji for setting a bad example for the subordinates. Looking at the scene, Ryu can't help but feel pity for Oyaji. The Fenrir mother really shows no mercy. After all, she holds a higher position than Oyaji since she's a true bloodline of the elder. Anyways, Ryu changes the topic back to his worn-out clothes. Because of all the stuff he's been through, Ryu's clothes are now at its limit. It would be nice if he could buy new stuff in town. Milady suggests to use monster fur instead, but problem is, Ryu doesn't have the skills to make clothes. Plus, whether he buys them or asks someone to make the clothes, Ryu still needs money for it. Either way, Ryu has to go to town for it as well. Milady then suggests they ask her grandfather for help. A now beaten up Oyaji stops Ryu from his plans, accusing the Tamer that he's gonna sell information to the humans. Mother Fenrir isn't happy at all. Ryu understands Oyaji's concerns though. If the info about Fenrir's leak, it'll put the whole pack in danger. Thinking about it, this won't be an easy task to deal with. Meanwhile, Milady asks her grandfather if he has any human acquaintances they can approach. The elder gives it some thinking, but before he can think of anyone, Grandmother Fenrir arrives and reminds the elder of someone who isn't necessarily human. The elder then remembers who it is his wife's referring to. The elder then shares to Ryu about a dwarf who happens to be his acquaintance. Dwarves may be short, but they are incredibly strong and skilled with their hands. As long as they have the materials, they can surely make Ryu some clothes. The elder's acquaintance lives in the land of the dwarf. If he asks him personally, they should agree to help Ryu. With this information, Ryu happily thanks the elder. Oyaji butts in once more, warning the elder that Ryu might speak to humans along the way and betray the pack. Grandmother Fenrir then suggests they send Milady with Ryu to keep an eye on things. This doesn't bode well with Oyaji, but it's high time Milady saw more of the world. Grandmother Fenrir then asks both Ryu and Milady if the idea is okay with them, to which they agree to. Milady kinda blushes and avoids eye contact with Ryu. Seems like our girl has a little crush on the beast tamer. Oyaji dishearteningly disagrees with his mother-in-law's plan. His face is met with a loud smack from his wife. The women of the pack quickly change the subject while Oyaji is knocked out on the side. Grandmother and Mother Fenrir both tell Milady that she needs to look extra cute. Ryu can't really hear this part, but he's getting suspicious as to why they're awfully in a good mood. The elder then catches Ryu's attention, telling him about a handy spell for carrying material. The elder will teach him this spell so he can carry monster material Ryu can sell for cash he will need there. Holding a hand to his chest, Ryu is thankful to have managed to work something out. Ooh, land of the dwarf, here they come. After a while, Ryu finally has everything he needs to take with him. He's managed to use the storage magic the elder taught him to pack up the materials Ryu gathered during yesterday's hunt. He's only missing one more thing before departing for the land of the dwarf. He then asks Mother Fenrir on the whereabouts of Grandmother Fenrir and Milady. The Mother Fenrir tells him they'll be arriving soon, and she's sure Ryu will be very surprised. Soon after, Grandmother Fenrir announces their arrival. As soon as Ryu turns towards them, he is surprised with the beautiful girl beside Grandmother Fenrir. He is confused as to why there's another human in the forest besides him. Blushing, the girl asks Ryu what he thinks of her appearance. This leaves Ryu even more confused. She knows his name, yet her voice sounds so familiar. The wheels in Ryu's head start turning, and Ryu now knows this is Milady. She gives her grandmother a high five for the successful human transformation. This should help Milady blend in with humans as well. Come to think of it, Ryu remembers the girl he saw after defeating the cockatrice. He now pieces the puzzle together and realizes it was Milady. Sharing her side, Milady has been practicing the transformation magic for a long time now. She's always dreamt of looking like a human and going out into the world with Ryu. At first, Milady could only hold the spell for a short while, but since her mom and grandmother taught her the magic trick yesterday, she can finally transform so as she pleases. Approaching Ryu, the elder asks him of the favor of giving Milady a proper name. This surprises Ryu, as this means Milady would have to form a contract with him. The elder deems it doable since Ryu's magic power is through the roof. Concern forms on Ryu's face. For a human like him to name a magical being like her would mean she'll become his familiar. There are benefits to this like telepathy and other special skills they can use together. But this isn't something you do impulsively. Understanding Ryu's hesitation, the elder reassures him that he and Milady are fully aware of what it'll mean. After all, the elder owes Ryu his life. And after everything they've been through together in the forest, the elder knows he can entrust his granddaughter to Ryu. Naming her has long been her desire, and she truly wishes to receive it from Ryu. Looking at Milady, Ryu finally agrees to forming a contract with her. He places a hand above her forehead and light begins to glow. The contract is sealed once Ryu calls out the name he picks out for her and if she gladly accepts it. Closing his eyes, Ryu gives Milady her proper name. Now she is known to be as Ruri. The naming ritual is successful as Ruri accepts her new name. She keeps on repeating her name, making Ryu overthink that it's not a name good enough for her. He only wanted it to be something simple. Happiness radiates all over Ruri's face. Thanking Ryu for the perfect name, she then hurriedly grabs Ryu's hand so they can finally head towards the land of the dwarf. Ruri then bids farewell to her grandpa, grandma, and mother, leaving her father in total abandonment. On their journey, both Ryu and Ruri are having a great time. Ruri gets to see new places, eat human food, and even experience sleeping on Ryu's shoulder. At one point, Ruri asks about dwarf country. Ryu only repeats what the elder told him. It's a nation at the foot of a mountain mine. They grew big by making weapons and armor. Ryu believes they're almost there, but he wants to voice out something that's been bothering him. It's a bit hard to say, but he needs to say it. Blushing, Ryu tells her she's a bit too close. Like right now, Ruri has her arms around Ryu's arm. That kind of closeness is making Ryu a bit conscious. He then hashes out that Ruri wasn't this clingy back in the forest. In Ruri's defense, she had to act all serious in front of everyone. She's always wanted to be lovey-dovey with Ryu. Seeing Ruri's pensive look, Ryu gives her a pat on the head, to which Ruri really liked. In Ryu's mind, he never knew Ruri is actually pretty clingy. Ryu can't really take a hint at all. They soon arrive at dwarf country, but before they could enter its enormous walls, Ryu asks Ruri if she could change into her wolf form. With no identification card to show the guards, it'll cause problems for Ruri. Showing his card, Ryu explains how most countries require identification upon entering. If Ruri's in human form, they might get caught at checkpoint. If she was in wolf form, Ryu can tell them she's his familiar. Releasing the spell, Ruri is now in her wolf form. They then start walking towards the line to enter the country. Ryu then calls the attention of a man ahead of him to ask if they're in the correct line for immigration inspection. The man confirms this, then asks Ryu if it's his first time in the country. They both get into a conversation, with Ryu telling the man about his plans on selling some monster material as well as having some clothes made. The man agrees that Ryu went to the right place and that there are many skilled craftsmen here. Interrupting them, a guard calls them to step forward for inspection. Before doing so, the man introduces himself as Mark, a traveling merchant, who believes they'll meet again somewhere inside the country. When it's finally time for Ryu's turn, the inspector asks him what purpose he has inside the country. Ryu then explains that he's there to sell some materials and also requests some tailoring work for some new clothes. After hearing this, the inspector asks if he's registered with the Merchant Guild. Unfortunately, Ryu isn't a member, but he tells the inspector he thought of selling the materials though the Adventurers Guild instead. The inspector then asks to bring out the materials just for a simple check. Ryu happily heeds the request and takes out the hide he's kept in his storage magic. The inspector seems surprised to see the materials and asks Ryu to wait for a moment before he leaves to discuss something with the dwarves from the guard post. The dwarf from the guard post then tells Ryu they need to talk for a bit. Taking Ryu to the guard post, the dwarf explains that Ryu's detainment is only because they would really like to purchase the hides for the country. Yep, for the country. Apparently, upon checking the materials, the dwarf can confirm that these hides are high-quality materials. For sure, the higher-ups want to buy them for the country, but Ryu already has plans to meet with the elder's acquaintance first. So he tells the dwarf something like that. Ryu wants the craftsman of this country to take a look at the materials first. Curious, the dwarf asks who this craftsman is, to which Ryu casually replies by saying the craftsman's name, Dwar Crown. The dwarves are left speechless, and silence fills the rooms. Noticing their demeanor, Ryu asks them if Dwar Crown is famous or something. He then explains that he was just introduced to him by an old man Ryu knows. Famous is a mild term to use. The dwarf then tells Ryu that the craftsman he's looking for, Dwar Crown, is acutely the king of this country, Fall Crown. Mind blown. After being released, Ryu can't wrap his head on what he just learned. He never thought the elder's acquaintance would be the king. Using their newly acquired telepathic skill, Ruri asks him on what their plans are now. Ryu gets startled by this, forgetting about telepathy between familiars. Anyways, Ryu informs her that they'll go and see the king after going to the guild to exchange the materials they can sell. Ryu hears his name being called and sees its mark waiting for him to finish the inspection. Scratching the back of his head, Ryu apologizes for the wait and explains how it took time to check the materials he has. When Ryu asks where the Adventure Guild is, Mark politely leads them towards the direction of the place. This merchant is also interested to see what kind of materials Ryu has. It was actually pretty close from the country's gate. Once inside, Mark explains that it was meant to be close enough so completed quests can be reported directly at the guild once the adventurer enters the country's gates. Giving Ryu a tour, Mark gladly tells him the areas of the guild such as the reception at the back area. There are 3 reception desks in total consisting of the general reception for non-guild members to submit requests. Adventurer reception is where adventurers report or complete requests, and the purchase reception, which is where they buy monster or animal materials unrelated to quests. Since Ryu is there to sell his materials, he'll go to the purchase reception for that. That's exactly what Ryu does. He doesn't waste time and quickly gets a piece of low-grade material from his storage. As for the high-grade ones, Ryu will reserve those for the king's eyes. Ryu finally gets the material from his storage, announcing he wants to sell this giant boar's hide. The receptionist quickly heads to the back and asks Ryu to wait for a moment. A lot of bystanders are awestruck with Ryu's material. Even Mark asks where Ryu got the hide from. People start gathering around Ryu, giving out their compliments for an amazing hide. It's pretty rare to see such a big catch plus of superb quality. A humble Ryu isn't used to such attention, telling the crowd it's just boar's hide. But Mark refuses to call it just boar's hide when a giant boar is, in fact, an A-rank monster. Ryu never knew a giant boar is an A-rank beast, so he doesn't really know how to react. Living in the Great Forest must have messed up Ryu's sense of reality. The receptionist finally comes back to tell Ryu that they're willing to pay him 62 gold coins. Jaw-dropping information. 62 gold coins is enough to live comfortably for a while, so it's a not joking amount. Ryu recovers from his reaction, telling the receptionist he's fine with the amount. Getting the bag of gold coins, the receptionist thanks Ryu for the successful deal. Everyone is elated for Ryu. One even hugs him since it's the first time he's seen such a huge amount of money just from selling materials. Another even comments that Ryu may become an exclusive merchant for the country, or even become an S-rank adventurer. Thinking about it, Ryu can't seem to wrap around his head on the idea of being strong now. He's strong enough to defeat monsters that are rare and valuable. Ruri, who's been listening on Ryu's thoughts, lifts her chin up, proudly telling him she's the reason why he's become stronger. Anyways, Ryu and Ruri finally has the money needed for his clothes. Now they just need to go and meet the king. Hopefully nothing goes awry. Meanwhile, at the castle, a guard hurries to report to Lord Dwar about a man who wants the king to examine some monster materials. Not just any materials, but super valuable materials like the hide of an A-rank monster. The guard calls it suspicious, asking the king as to what he wants them to do with the man. The king then orders the guard to bring Ryu in the castle tomorrow, thinking Ryu might have good use to them. No matter what, they must bring Ryu to the king. Smells trouble, don't you think? After a long day, Ryu and Ruri found themselves a nice inn to stay at. The owner is even kind enough to wash Ryu's clothes. She also patched up the torn parts of his clothes, especially the part around the sleeve. Ryu was grateful for the owner's kind gesture, especially for letting him borrow some pajamas. When Ryu first came to the inn, the owner really thought he was either a vagrant or a robber judging by his clothes. She wonders how one could be doing to have his clothes in such a state. Dryly laughing, Ryu doesn't answer her. What is he supposed to say? That he's been training with Fenrir? Ruri confirms their destination for today, which is the castle. Ryu did promise the guard post yesterday when the king's messenger arrived at very inconvenient moment. The messenger, aside from relaying the king's message, also introduced the inn to Ryu. But the adventurers at the guild took it as a direct summon from the king, saying Ryu must be a total celebrity and all. They soon arrive at the castle, with guards lined up all the way to the doors leading towards the throne room. Ryu takes note of such an extravagant welcoming for an ordinary guy like him. More like a way to trap someone, Ryu. Before opening the doors, the guard warns Ryu not to do anything disrespectful towards the king. Inside, another batch of guards are lined up on both sides of the room, with the king sitting at the center end. Ryu can already feel the intense energy radiating just from the king's gaze. He knows this dwarf is no ordinary being. Judging by the king's aura, Ryu can tell the king's not quite the same level of the Fenrir elder and leader. But this king is definitely up there in the ranks of high-tier monsters. Kneeling down, Ryu gives respect and honor to the king before introducing himself as a beast tamer. The king then goes straight to agenda, relaying how he's heard from his soldiers about Ryu and his desire to have his clothes made by the king. Ryu takes out the hide from his storage, politely confirming his plans. But the king rudely asks him if Ryu stole the hide he just presented, leaving Ryu stunned by such accusation. Ryu still remains respectful despite the king's rude behavior. He is the king, but that's not an excuse to be an a-hole. A calm Ryu explains how the hide he has with him is from a monster he hunted himself. Even from a distance, the king can spot the materials Ryu has with him. He doubts that Ryu hunted a monster in the Great Forest. Him? A mere beast tamer actually hunted a top-tier monster? Downright absurd. The forest is even known to be the home to the cursed Fenrir, the king utters. Now this gets Ryu's ears tingling. Did the king just refer to the Fenrir as cursed? This dwarf who's supposed to be the elder's acquaintance? Something's not adding up, so Ryu decides not to mention the elder at all. Apologizing, Ryu further explains that he wasn't alone when he hunted the beast. A friend helped him as well. When the king asks what kind of friends Ryu has, the beast tamer lies about not knowing their names since they were just hunters. The king grows even more suspicious. This irks not only Ryu but also Ruri. This so-called king has been rude from the start. Ruri is about to lose her temper. Ryu asks that they remain calm. Again, something feels off. This king is supposed to know the elder, yet he has a bad impression of Fenrir. The number of guards surrounding the throne room and outside the room is suspicious too. It's only Ryu, a mere human, and Ruri, his familiar. And let's not mention the disrespect from the very beginning. The king already has an impression of Ryu even when they've just met. Now, Ryu is unsure if it's okay to ask the king for his help. The king then makes an exchange with Ryu. He'll craft Ryu's clothes, but in return, Ryu will leave all the monster hides as payment. The king also asks for a payment for Ryu's crime of theft. Standing up, Ryu has had enough of this dwarf's belittlement. No pun intended. Ryu then directly tells the king he won't hand over the hides. This starts to anger the king, especially when Ryu points out how he has no intention of striking a deal with someone like him even if he's the king. The guards are now furious with how Ryu just talked smack to their king. Even the king himself has his veins popping out of anger. He doesn't doubt the elder, but Ryu can't take this rude dwarf seriously. He shall listen to his gut for now. Before they know it, the king orders his guards to arrest Ryu. The guards rally up on Ryu, trapping him with their sharp weapons. Ruri immediately asks Ryu to let her handle the situation, but Ryu asks her to stand down. Stirring up trouble with an entire kingdom is not on their bucket list. When the king asks Ryu why he's not resisting, the beast tamer only replies he knows he can't win against an entire kingdom. After calling Ryu's decision a wise one, the king then commands the guards to throw Ryu and Ruri in the dungeon. Inside the dungeon, Ryu is disheartened with how sourly things became. They confiscated all the hides for Pete's sake. Even Ruri isn't impressed, still thinking it was a better idea if they fought back. Ryu never really expected the outcome to be like this. He thought they would just get kicked out, and he really didn't want to fight someone who's supposedly the elder's friend. The good thing is, Ryu still has the fang with him. The guards thought it was just some trinket and didn't bother taking it. Ryu gets the scare of his life when someone uttered "hey" from behind. Turning around, Ryu sees it's a dwarf who's asking Ryu what's he doing inside the dungeon. Ryu then explains how he refused to sell the monster hides to the king. The The dwarf sighs, seemingly disappointed that Ryu got arrested for such a petty thing. When Ryu asks of his crime, the dwarf looks at Ryu deadpan before telling him of treason. The dwarf then details out how he only told the king they needed to stop hunting monsters in the Great Forest just to get rare materials because the dwarves can't really win against Fenrir. Now it makes sense why the king called the Fenrir cursed, and why he was desperate for Ryu's hides. With Ryu's and dwarf's crime, Ryu now thinks the king has a really bad temper. Ryu really thought he'd be some great dwarf since he's friends with the elder. Ryu's train of thought is interrupted when the dwarf tells Ryu that the current king is actually a fake. The man Ryu just met is Lord Dwar's identical twin brother, Lord Dolph. Another plot twist that sends Ryu into a state of shock. Anyways, Lord Dolph apparently imprisoned Lord Dwar, brainwashed his advisors and soldiers, and locked them up. Since Lord Dolph has always been in the shadows, no one really noticed the swap. The imprisoned dwarf grew suspicious after learning about the invasion plan for the Great Forest, and here he is, imprisoned for treason. The real Lord Dwar is in a high-security cell deep within the castle. Unlike the shabby dungeons they're at, the security in that holding cell is tight, complete with iron doors and an iron chamber. On top of that, there's a curse that suppresses any power, so escaping is nearly impossible. Ryu goes into thinking mode again. This means the elder's acquaintance might be the older brother, the real king. In that case, Ryu must help the real king escape. With this final decision, Ryu gets the fang out and asks the dwarf to stand back a bit. The dwarf understands what Ryu's trying to do and warns him it's impossible to break Lord Dwar out. Even the real king himself can't break the holding cell. What of Ryu? But Ryu is confident that he can and will do it. Both Ryu and Ruri head towards the dungeon's railings, easily breaking it with their combined strength. It's not impossible if it's Ryu and Ruri we're talking about. Amazed, but somehow a bit petrified, the dwarf asks Ryu of their identity, to which Ryu gladly tells him they're beast tamers with their familiars. Ryu extends his hand, helping the dwarf stand up. Together, they venture out to save the real king. Hiding behind a wall, the dwarf tells Ryu that Lord Dwar is imprisoned at the end of the hall where 2 guards stand by. The dwarf is still a bit doubtful if they can really save Lord Dwar, but Ryu reassures him they can. They have business with the real king, they'll definitely save him. Ryu then asks the dwarf if he can somehow fight, to which the dwarf shares he's actually a warrior but without a weapon. That's sort of impossible. No worries. Ryu and Ruri will take the lead while the dwarf can stay back and keep an eye on things. Before you know it, Ryu and Ruri are already running towards the guards. The guards are now on their feet, commanding Ryu and Ruri to stop or they'll get killed. Ryu doesn't want a bloodbath and tells Ruri exactly that. Their goal is to knock them out. Right now, Ruri's role is to keep them distracted while Ryu attacks them. A guard aims his weapon at Ryu, which he swiftly dodges. Their combat style is totally different from other monsters. Dwarves move slower even in comparison to Fenrir. The dwarves' presences and actions are so much easier to read than other monsters too. Ryu easily blows an attack on the guard's nape, knocking him out in the process. The other guard is swinging his sword at Ruri, expecting to defeat a mere wolf with one swing. However, the guard's sword gets spliced in half. Ryu quickly sees an opening and kicks the guard straight in the face. Now that that's over, Ryu calls the dwarf out. The dwarf is actually surprised to see the 2 guards completely defeated. Their country's soldiers shouldn't be weak at all. But they're no match for Ryu, who's been training hard to get strong. Now their problem is this door. Ryu gives it a solid knock. Yup, that's a solid iron door. It's cursed too. It's impossible to get out from the inside. But what if the curse doesn't affect the outside of the door? Giving it one slash, Ryu is able to easily break the cursed door, revealing Lord Dwar, who's just been sitting in isolation. The real king immediately opens his eyes, asking who Ryu is. The beast tamer immediately introduces himself as well as being a beast tamer. Lord Dwar is indeed surprised that a tamer made it all the way inside his cell. Ryu then shares how he was treated badly by the fake king. Hearing this, the real Nig immediately apologizes in behalf of his foolish brother. Ryu gets down to business and asks Lord Dwar if he could craft some clothes for Ryu. When the king asks why it needs to be specifically made by him, Ryu tells him about being referred by the elder. This somehow angers Lord Dwar a bit. He doesn't believe Ryu's words since he knows the elder shouldn't have any human acquaintances. But Ryu assures him, even taking out the fang and showing it to Lord Dwar. Aside from that, there's Ruri, who magically turns herself into a human again. Lord Dwar now believes Ryu, especially witnessing the Fenrir's human transformation magic. Ryu then explains that Ruri is actually the elder's granddaughter, making her solid proof to Ryu's statement earlier. Even examining the fang, Lord Dwar knows it's the real stuff. He then apologizes for doubting Ryu before he grants the beast tamer's request. Then they went to the other holding cells where other dwarves are imprisoned. Ryu immediately gets busy, breaking the cells so the dwarves can escape with Lord Dwar. After everyone is freed, there's only one task left for Ryu and everyone else. to defeat the fake king and take back the crown. However, Lord Dwar asks for Ryu to stand back. This deflates Ryu's excitement from just seconds ago. Looking at his men, Lord Dwar explains how he was ambushed before and ended up losing. Today they'll surely win if they go head-on. So at this point, Ryu and Ruri have done their parts. Lord Dwar knows he needs to finish this battle by himself. It's a mess his little brother made. It's only fair as the eldest to clean it up. Ryu fully understands the king's sentiments and tells them to take care. Lord Dwar then points to the direction of an exit route at the left end of the hallway. The king promises to reach out once they've successfully dethroned Lord Dolph. With the true king's command, every single dwarf cheer out as they run towards the throne room. After they've left, Ryu also tells Ruri they'll head back to the inn for now. As they're walking down the hallway, Ruri hears something nearby. Her ears have picked up a sound of a crying animal. Could it be an animal they've kept for materials? Ruri's not sure either, but they'll have to stay alert just in case. The cry comes from around the corner of the hallway. Leading the way, Ryu prepares to meet the so-called monster. Both Ryu and Ruri are shocked to see a chick lying on the ground helplessly. Crouching to the ground, Ryu tries to touch the little bird, seeing that it looks very weak. However, before Ryu can lay a finger on it, the bird suddenly breathes out fire at them. Stepping back, Ryu and Ruri are astonished to see the little bird angrily chirping at them. This is no bird at all. This is a type of monster. The bird is still lashing out at Ryu. The beast tamer tries his best to call it down by saying they're not its enemies. Sometime later, the bird goes quiet and faints from exhaustion. Ryu finally has the bird in his hands, and judging by the looks of it, it's not injured at all. Ruri believes it's just hungry since there seems to be no signs of food inside the premises. Ryu tries rummaging inside his pockets but comes out empty. Everything he has was confiscated when they got captured earlier. Having no other choice, Ryu decides to take the bird with them so they can feed it outside. They stop by at a restaurant and immediately give the bird a piece of meat. It sure can eat plenty for something so small. They're both glad to see the bird looking much more alive now. Ryu takes it in his hands, happy that it'll surely survive in the wild now. He then nudges the bird to go and be free. However, the bird only stares at Ryu before it coddles his hands. Seeing this, Ruri isn't happy to see the bird's gotten attached to Ryu now. Ruri then asks Ryu if he plans on making it his familiar as well, to which the beast tamer says no. He didn't save it for that. If the bird wants to live in the wild, Ryu's fine with that. If it wants to stay with Ryu, he'll gladly take it in. This doesn't bode well with Ruri, who's very jealous right now. She's sure the bird will make the choice of staying with Ryu. The idea has her sulking even more. Anyways, the duo decide to rest at the inn tonight and wait for King Dwar's message. If they don't hear from him tomorrow, Ryu plans on heading to the castle to help him. But for now, they'll recover their strengths. The following day, Ryu wakes up from the feeling of getting squished, like something heavy is on his stomach. Groggily sitting up, Ryu suspects it's Ruri who might have slept walk last night. Without opening his eyes, Ryu asks Ruri to move away. But he's surprised to see that it's not Ruri. Instead, it's a giant bird. Ryu screams from the top of his lungs, waking Ruri up because he's confused of the animal on his stomach. Ruri calmly tells him that the bird is the chick from yesterday. Confused, Ryu looks at the bird again. If it's really the chick he saved, boy did it grow big so fast. Maybe it grew by feeding off Ryu's mana, is what Ruri suspects. There are monster species that grow by absorbing magic power. But it's also pretty rare for a monster to grow this fast. Ruri already has a hunch on what this bird is. Before she could say anything else, the inn's owner calls out for Ryu because soldiers are outside. This startles the bird and it goes flying outside the window. Both Ryu and Ruri can only stare at it as it flies away. A summon from the king is what the soldiers are there for. Ryu and Ruri immediately set off for the castle. The issue with Lord Dolph has been properly dealt with, and the king cannot thank Ryu enough. Before discussing Ryu's clothes and weapon, Lord Dwar calls out his little brother to come out from hiding. Apparently, there's something Lord Dolph wants to say to Ryu. A remorseful Dolph slowly approaches Ryu and Ruri, bowing down as he apologizes for his misdeeds. It's a surprising scene because Lord Dolph's aura has completely changed. Ruri is still a bit angry at Lord Dolph for pretending to be king. The fake king explained how he was just jealous of his older brother since he's known to be the most skilled craftsman in the country. Because of that, everyone only gave jobs to him. Lord Dolph never got the chance to even touch materials. It was degrading as a fellow craftsman. So, Lord Dolph tricked his older brother, telling him about rare materials and locked him up in secret. Lord Dolph figured if he became king, he could command soldiers and secure materials. People would commission him work without finding out the truth of his identity. Everything was going according to plan, until Ryu showed up. When Lord Dolph saw the materials Ryu brought, he knew they were A-rank to S-rank quality stuff that's never seen on the market or at the guild. Lord Dolph thought Ryu was just an ordinary beast tamer that can easily be blinded with money. But then Ryu wasn't that kind of person at all and refused to sell. That made Lord Dolph think Ryo saw right through his facade. He got overwhelmed with anger and did the awful things he did. Lord Dolph once again bows down, apologizing to Ryu. The king also bows down to Ryu, apologizing for being partly to blame for his little brother's actions. If Lord Dwar had been considerate of Lord Dolph's feelings, none of this would have happened. Lord Dolph disapproves with the king's actions, quickly telling Lord Dwar he isn't at fault. The king then makes the suggestion of having Lord Dolph make Ryu's outfit. When Ryu asks him why, the king details how Lord Dolph is more skilled with his hands than him. Lord Dolph will and can make the best outfit possible for Ryu. And this is also part of Lord Dwar's atonement. He always knew his little brother was a talented craftsman, but because he felt responsible for the orders the king accepted, Lord Dwar never let his little brother touch any of the work. It's only now that Lord Dwar realizes how his actions had wounded Lord Dolph's pride. If her had just acknowledged him from the very start, if they had worked together, this wouldn't have happened. Vouching for his brother's skill, Lord Dwar asks Ryu to please let Lord Dolph make his outfit. Ryu happily agrees with Lord Dwar, earning thanks from the king and a sounding why from Lord Dolph. Smiling, Ryu tells Lord Dolph that he's being acknowledged by the best craftsman in the country. If Ryu can get a quality outfit from him, Ryu's got no complaints. Lord Dolph can't believe that Ryu would trust him after everything he did. The king sees this as a way to prove to Ryu how he's terribly sorry for his mistakes. Plus, it's always been Lord Dolph's dreams to be recognized as a true craftsman. Now is the best time to show his skills with his hands. Lord Dwar looks at his little brother with so much love and pride, telling him how he believes in Lord Dolph's skills. Extending his hand, Lord Dwar promises they'll work together this time around. Tears start spilling out of Lord Dolph's eyes while taking his older brother's hand with firmness. Lord Dolph promises to make Ryu the best outfit in the world. Case closed for the dwarf brothers. Meanwhile, back at Ryu's hometown, his close friends have finally come home. Both Tia and Taiga are excited to go and see Ryu already. It's been ages since the three of them got together. Tia hopes their friend is doing okay too. However, they arrive at Ryu's home only to discover it destroyed. A villager arrives and Tia immediately asks where Ryu is. The villager doesn't get a chance to answer her quick because she bombards him with worried questions. Taiga asks her to calm down before asking the villager what had happened to Ryu's house. The villager then tells them that Ryu is missing and has been missing for over 2 months now. There was a loud noise on the night of a full moon, but when they came to see what was happening, they only found Ryu's home in disarray. No one knows why Ryu would just suddenly disappear. Tia knows their friend wouldn't just leave. He works hard every day, tending to horses and cows that liked him. The villager that tells Tia and Taiga they did find animal fur inside Ryu's home. At first they thought I was livestock fur, but now they think it might have been a monster that attacked Ryu. Determined, Tia turns to her horse so she could start looking for Ryu. A hero can't possibly just forget about her responsibilities, so she plans on looking for Ryu during their travels. Taiga wants to as well, but they really have no idea where to start. On her horse, Tia vows to find Ryu no matter what, and if he's dead, she's determined to punish those responsible. Tia's resolve might have reached Ryu because he just sneezed out of nowhere. Let's go back to Dwarf Country, shall we? Lord Dolph is working tirelessly to forge a weapon out of the Fenrir fang, but no amount of hammering and heating can break through the fang, deflating Ryu and Ruri's spirits along with the dwarf brothers. Ryu is losing hope for the fang. They've done hundreds of attempts and still no luck. Even Ryu tried cranking up the flame's temperature as high as it could go. Still nothing. They're all in a sticky situation right now. Taking out the fang again, Lord Dolph suggests using flames from a magical beast that's equal to Fenrir's magic power. Maybe that'll work. The disconcerting thought is if such species existed. A light bulb clicks in Ruri's mind, asking if flames from a Garuda would possibly do the trick. While Ryu doesn't know what that monster is, the dwarf brothers are surprised with Ruri's suggestion. A Garuda is a divine bird, scratch that, a legendary eagle said to possess dragon-slaying power? It's ancient legend, so it's not a shocker that Ryu hasn't heard of it. When Ryu asks her if she knows a Garuda, Ruri tells him that Ryu actually does too. Drumroll please, it's the chick Ryu saved from the dungeon. Quite a shocker for Ryu. Ruri then explains how the chick grew so much thanks to Ryu's magic power. No regular magical beast would grow that huge in a single night. Only high-ranking magical beasts with a vast reservoir of magic power can do that. So Ruri is pretty sure that chick is a Garuda. But the problem is, the Garuda escaped or fled. The brothers then get to thinking. Upon hearing Ryu's explanation of what happened, there's a high chance the Garuda is on the mountain behind the castle. So much time has passed that it's risky to search for it now. However, if it means they can forge the fang, it's a gamble they'll have to take. Since the brothers can't leave the castle unattended, they ask Ryu and Ruri to search for it for the Garuda. Ryu obliges and sets off with Ruri. Their task proves to be a hard one at that. They're not even sure it's still here. Ryu is getting hopeless again. Even Ruri's thinking the same thing. She really thought it'll come flying towards Ryu's magic power. Yup, making Ryu the bait. They start searching other areas, walking these vast land. Suddenly, Ruri's ears pick up a cry from nearby. Lo and behold, it's the Garuda running from a monster trying to eat it. Ruri immediately notices that the Garuda's having a hard time flapping its wings. Suspecting it to be injured, Ryu quickly asks Ruri to save the Garuda. They finally save the Garuda and take it back to the castle. While it's sleeping soundly, Ryu and Ruri watch over it. It was surprisingly close by. Ryu really thought it had flown much farther away. A sad Ruri asks if it's possible that the Garuda doesn't have parents. It was all alone when they found it, so maybe it doesn't know where home is, or if home really exists. Lord Dwar arrives to ask Ryu on the Garuda's condition. Reporting to the king, Ryu tells him the Garuda is doing fine since it was barely a scratch. They just need to wait for the Garuda to wake up. Though Ryu isn't so sure if the Garuda will really help them. The Garuda stirs in its sleep, starting to finally wake up. As soon as it lays its eyes on the dwarves, it goes frantic and flies towards Ryu for safety. While the Garuda cuddles Ryu, the beast tamer is confused with its actions and tries to reassure that it's safe now. Ruri approaches them, straightforwardly asking Ryu on making the Garuda his familiar. Ruri voices out her worries on leaving the Garuda on its own again. It'll probably run into trouble if they do so. And since it has no one and obviously like Ryu, it may be the best decision to make it Ryu's familiar. Ryu looks at the Garuda. While it's true that they need its help, Ryu doesn't want to force it to stay with him. Opening a window, Ryu lets the Garuda make the final decision. He then asks the Garuda if it'll stay with us and lend them its strength. Ryu also tells it that it's not obligated to do so and is free to leave. Everyone watches in anticipation. Finally, the Garuda flaps its wings and flies towards Ryu's shoulder. Shocked, Ryu asks it once more if it's sure with its decision. The Garuda happily chirps its answer. Ruri is relieved with its decision too. Both Lord Dwar and Lord Dolph are astonished. A familiar contract with a Garuda? An opportunity like this is incredibly rare. Since it's a momentous occasion, the king suggests they hold the Nan ceremony in the town square where everyone can witness it. Everyone gathers in the town square, and by everyone I mean there's a huge crowd. Gorads, civilians, even Mark the merchant is here. Lord Dwar apologizes for the huge crowd. This is supposed to be a ceremony on a short notice, but since it's not every day that the king steps out in public, then this kind of attention is understandable. When Ruri suggests they reschedule, Ryu tells her it's okay and they just need to get it done with. Raising his arm, Ryu tells the Garuda about the naming ceremony. By giving it a name, a familiar contact between them will be formed. Ryu wants the Garuda to think of it like becoming family. The Garuda joyfully chirps in agreement on becoming family too. Since there are no issues, Ryu proceeds with the ceremony. Lifting his hand, Ryu gives the Garuda its new name, Karen. A tornado-like energy then traps Ryu, Ruri, and Karen. Ryu is puzzled. This didn't happen with Ruri's naming ceremony. What in the world is happening now? Seeing a floating egg at the center, Ryu believes it to be Karen. Ruri then explains how she can feel it evolving. Evolution is a trait unique to magical beasts only. With this, magical beasts attain the form and power they truly desire. And Ruri believes Karen is evolving now because it genuinely wants to become a source of strength for the beast tamer. The egg starts cracking, and with that is the anticipation of Karen's new form. Both Ryu and Ruri have no idea what form it'll take, but for sure they'll happily welcome it. Extending both his arms, Ryu asks for Karen to come out. This has Karen finally emerging from its egg. Gone is the bird that Ryu had saved. In its stead is a beautiful winged girl. Opening her eyes, the first thing it sees is Ryu, who's asking Karen if she's alright. With twinkling eyes, Karen lovingly calls Ryu her papa. Papa wasn't in Ryu's bingo card at all. Karen happily explains how she managed to take the same form as Ryu, her papa, though it may have took a little while to achieve. Speechless, Ryu is still stunned that Karen really means him as papa. Well, he did say they were to be family. Guess this is it. Karen then tells Ryu how lonely she's felt ever since she was born. That's why she took the form of a human. A despondent Karen recalls her life. When she was born in this town, she had no mama or any friends. She kept on looking for her family, but whenever people found Karen, they'd shoo her away by calling her monster. She's been living on the run her whole entire life. This now explains why Karen fled when the soldiers came to the inn a few days back. Karen nods and further tells them that her life had changed when both her papa and Ruri, her sister, helped her. Smiling, Karen divulges how it was the first time someone had been kind to her. That's why she loves both Ryu and Ruri so much, wishing to become the same as them. Ryu then lovingly gives Karen a gentle pat on the head. Their mini-family introduction is interrupted when the dwarf brothers are calling Ryu from outside the fire tornado. Ryu immediately asks Karen to put out the flames around them, to which she gladly does so. The dwarf brothers rush towards Ryu, who tells them the naming ceremony went well. Lord Dolph was absolutely astounded by what he witnessed, though he did call it incredibly dangerous as well. Their king then notices Karen and asks who she is. Ryu quickly introduces her to the brothers as the Garuda, but in human form. Both brothers are amazed that something like this is possible. Well, what can they expect from a divine bird, right? Now, Ryu worries this might cause an issue in forging the sword. The king reassures him that everything will be fine as long as Karen can handle the flames. Before heading back to the workshop, the king orders his soldiers to explain the situation to the townspeople as not to worry Ryu. As they head back to the castle, Mark the merchant picks up one of Karen's feathers. An all-knowing smile forms on his face as he calls Ryu different from other humans. Whether this dude is a friend or a foe remains to be seen. A month later, Lord Dolph presents Ryu his new leather armor, his finest masterpiece to date. Ryu is instantly floored with how amazing it is, calling it a magnificent and fine-crafted armor. Lord Dolph can't take all the credit. Ryu did provide him with excellent materials. Lord Dolph then further tells the beast tamer that his new armor also comes with a heat fluctuation nullification effect. This means that fire and ice attacks are useless against the armor. Lord Dolph made this possible by weaving in Karen's molten feathers on the armor. Garuda feathers actually possess both heat resistance and heat absorption properties. The armor also offers protection against both heat and cold, making it even more useful for Ryu. Lord Dwar then arrives to announce that the sword is now ready. They've finally managed to forge a sword from the Fenrir's fang. Ryu takes notice on the unusual blade design. Lord Dwar calls this a special type of sword known as a wakizashi. With its single-edged design, it significantly improves its cutting power. The king managed to learn forging such sword from the eastern land. Ryu also thanks Karen for doing her best. If not for her, they wouldn't be able to forge the fang at all. The king then asks Ryu to do the honors of giving the wakizashi a name. Normally, the blacksmith would be the one to bestow the name. But since this sword was forged exclusively for Ryu, Lord Dwar believes it is only right for the beast tamer to name it. Ryu has a hard time thinking of a name. He's being asked so suddenly that his mind is out of ideas. The elder then comes to Ryu's mind, sparking a name for the sword. Ryu then decides to call his new sword Wolf. Straightforward as ever, Ruri comments. Since the name has been decided, the king asks Ryu to give it a test cut. It'll be best to do so before using it in actual combat. Everyone heads out to the town square again for the test cut. A crowd forms around them again, expecting to see something amazing from Ryu once more. Eyeing the crowd, the king reckons an overplay of the last naming ceremony spread across the town and well, hence the crowd. The king apologizes to Ryu for holding this at the town square. If they did it and something were to happen at the castle, it would cause an uproar. There's nothing to be worried about though. The king already has soldiers stationed to keep the citizens at a safe distance. That's all Ryu needs to hear. After all, injuring civilians isn't part of today's agenda. Lord Dolph then makes the announcement introducing the new sword forged by the king himself and unveils it with its name. The king then gives his instructions on what Ryu needs to do. Drawing Wolf, Ryu needs to unleash his magic power into the sky with everything's got. That way, the true extent of the sword's power will be revealed. Everyone leaves Ryu at the center of the vicinity. Ryu still worries about affecting his surroundings. To minimize any potential damage, Ryu plans to focus his magic power on a single point as much as possible. Lifting the sword towards the sky, Ryu strikes a singular attack. The sky seemingly explodes with so much intensity and force, leaving everyone utterly shocked and mind-blown. The crowd cheers in excitement, incredibly amazed with what they just witnessed. Karen is very proud of her papa slicing the sky too. The king already expected much. I mean, he did forge it from the elder Fenrir's fang. Its magic power conductivity is in a completely different league from other materials. No further adjustments are necessary. Their little chit-chat pauses when a citizen screams to look at the sky. Looking up, Ryu is yet again surprised. He can't believe he's seeing a dragon right now, and it looks like there are people aboard it. The dragon soars the vast sky circling the town square. Ryu and the others are taken aback when the people riding the dragon jump and land in front of them. The four people headed by an old man greets Ryu, leaving the beast tamer confused AF. These strangers' arrival only makes sense when Ruri enthusiastically calls the old man grandfather. Yep, that's the elder all right. So the others accompanying him are Ruri's mom and dad, of course. Ruri's grandma, who looks pretty young for her age too. Lord Dwar approaches his longtime friend, asking the elder on his well-being. The two exchange pleasantries before the elder tells them the reason why they're here. The Fenrir pack has a small favor to ask Ryu and his familiars. Spotting Karen, the elder is also curious with the Garuda's identity, but they have more pressing matters to discuss for now. The elder then tells Ryu about a troublesome beast that's about to reawaken. Its name is Evil Dragon, the sorceress Evil Dragon. This beast has 3 serpentine heads and a colossal chalk-white body. Not only can it wield magic, but it also has knowledge of all forms of magic, ancient to modern and eastern to western. Long ago, the Elder along with other representatives from other species tried to subjugate the dragon, but because it spawns itself from its very own wounded flesh and blood, they had no choice but to seal it away instead. Hearing this, Ryu dreads the dragon's existence. Having received word about the collapsing seal, the Fenrir bloodline have come forth to prepare for battle. With this, the Elder asks Ryu and his familiars to join them in this battle. Since they're facing a formidable foe, they'll need all the help they can get. But Ryu is worried he's not fit enough to fight this dragon. After all this time, Ryu still doubts his fighting prowess. Barking out a laugh, the Elder dismisses such ridiculous thoughts. Ryu has trained with the Fenrir pack. No doubt he can fight well enough. In fact, he's even better than most out there. The Elder asks the Beast Tamer to have more confidence with himself, especially that the Elder thinks so highly of Ryu. The Beast Tamer reluctantly agrees. Ruri happily confirms her participation as well. When asked where this dragon is, the Elder tells Ryu it's in the Dragon Kingdom. To be precise, it's sealed in a cave near the Dragon Kingdom. The Fenrir pack will join forces with the Dragon Kingdom's people called Dragonkin. With no more time to lose, the Elder tells them they'll discuss the other details later. For now, they must go to the Dragon Kingdom at once. Just as Ryu is about to ask on their transportation means, the dragon from earlier starts talking. It comments on how weird it is to see a Fenrir converse with a human. It's uncommon and unheard of in their world. The dragon then asks Ryu if he's the Fenrir's disciple. In a state of shock, Ryu just completely stares at the beast, remarking how huge the dragon is. The Elder then butts in, apologizing for the late introductions. This dragon is the Elder's sworn brother, the Earth Staff Dragon. The beast smiles at Ryu, giving its pleasantries to the Beast Tamer. Ryu can't seem to form sentences right now, still in awe with the dragon's presence. It shouldn't be a shocker that a legendary monster like Fenrir are friends with other legendary species at all. Plus, this dragon can speak human language as well. Ryu is taken back to reality when he hears the townspeople gossiping about the dragon's arrival. He then tells the Elder they must leave now since they're creating a bit of a commotion now. After clarifying their mode of transportation, they all board the dragon's back. Both Lord Dwar and Lord Dolph wave their goodbyes as the dragon flies to the sky once more. While traveling, they get into a quick recap on what's going on. The Elder then gets his answer about Karen's origins and becoming Ryu's familiar. The Fenrir Elder is pretty much ecstatic with the news. Ryu has not only managed to snag a Fenrir for a familiar but also a Garuda. By this time, his magic power would have been depleted already, rendering Ryu dead. Ryu is unimpressed with the Elder's reaction. You know who else isn't impressed? Ruri's dad. He is seething mad at Ryu right now. Stealing away his daughter from him, then cheating on her with a Garuda? The nerve, Ryu. Ruri's dad wants to punish the Beast Tamer right here and now. Though his plans don't really go as planned when his wife smacks him right on the head. Ruri's mom doesn't seem to have a problem with Karen. I mean, look at these three. It's really obvious the Garuda has taken a liking to both Ryu and Ruri. Hearing this, Ryu notes that they've spent almost a month together. It's only natural for them to bond. If anything, Ruri has been the one clinging to Karen all this time. Whether it was meal or bath times, Ruri always doted on Karen, like a mother hen to her baby chick. Perhaps like an older sister to her baby sister too. Still, the Elder asks Karen if she doesn't get lonely without having parents around. Embracing Ruri's arm as if for protection, Karen tells the Elder she doesn't feel lonely at all. Not when she has her Papa Ryu and Big Sis Ruri who are very kind to her. Even thought she's a mythical Garuda, Karen is still a child. With that, the Elder knows it's always better for her to have more people to rely on. Besides, if Karen thinks of Ruri as a big sister, then Karen is practically a daughter to the Fenrir pack as well. With smiles on their faces, the Fenrir family asks Karen to think of them as her family as well. Though it may be awkward at first, but still it'll be nice to have a big family to rely on. Although shocked at first, Karen's heart warms with the Elder's request. Teary-eyed, the Garuda gives a sincere okay to them. After some time, the dragon announces their arrival at Dragon Kingdom. Ryu then takes a peek and sees the amazing land covered with buildings and houses. The dragon then shares to the amazed Ryu that the castle and the entire castle town he's seeing right now is the Dragon King's territory. Because of its small size, the Dragon Kingdom isn't really the dragon's favorite place though. Dragonkin are half human, so the buildings and other stuff are made to human size. So, a regular dragon like the Earth Staff Dragon needs to be in human form to fit in these buildings. Although dragons and dragonkin get along well, the needed transformation is quite the hassle. At long last, they arrive at the castle entrance. The dragon then transforms into his human form, catching Ryu off guard. Even in its human form, the dragon is still huge and tall. In human form, the Earth Staff Dragon is referred to as Lord Midgardsormr. He is immediately greeted by the castle guards. Lord Midgardsormr then introduces his sworn brother and the Fenrir family to the guards, who are happy to see legendary magical beasts that will aid them in defeating the evil dragon. The other guard notices Ryu as the only human present. Lord Midgardsormr clears the air by telling the guard that Ryu is actually the Fenrir's disciple. The guards seem baffled. A human as a disciple? Unheard of. They're quite hesitant with Ryu's involvement in battle. How can a human like him be of any use in battle with the evil dragon? Ruri's dad is furious once more. This dude really has a bad temper. He's offended with the guard's statement. Are they saying the Fenrir pack trained someone weak? The guard immediately tries to clarify his words, but Ruri's dad is already pissed AF and wants Ryu to show these guards his true strength. That way, no one will ever doubt Ryu's power. An angry dad pointedly asks for the guards to get their superior, asking for a duel between the superior and Ryu. Well, Ryu looks like he's stuck in a situation that's unwanted for. The superior soon arrives and the two get in position for battle. Ryu still can't believe it's come to this, but I guess he has no other choice, especially that Ruri's dad is screaming at him to win or else he's gonna wipe Ryu out. Serving as the judge, Lord Midgardsormr tells both participants that the match is only decided if one of them faints or gives up. The superior is no ordinary foe. He's actually the military commander of the Dragon Kingdom. Just because Ryu looks like an ordinary human to him, the commander won't be holding back. As soon as the commander gets into a fighting stance, Lord Midgardsormr gives the go signal for battle. The commander quickly dashes towards Ryu, who had only a split second to up his defenses. Each of the commander's blows are heavy and he's very quick on his feet as well. Ryu is having a hard time in both his offenses and defenses. As the commander tries to land another strike with his sword, he starts mocking Ryu, telling him that weak defenses aren't even enough to face the evil dragon. The military commander of the Dragon Kingdom sure is a skilled swordsman, and it shows with the way he battles. Ryu knows he can't knock him out, so he plans on having the commander raise his white flag instead. Ryu honestly knows he doesn't stand a chance in terms of sword skill, but he may have a fighting chance if he imbues his blade with magic power, and if he somehow manages to land a hit, the commander should falter. This plan could create an opening for Ryu to subdue the commander. He can't go all out though. We've seen what this blade can do. Keeping it to a minimum, Ryu gives it his all and tries to score a hit on the commander. Both their blades clash, but Ryu's blade, which has been imbued with magic power, catapults the commander to the wall. KO. No need to have the commander give up because he is sleeping like a baby after that attack. Everyone including Ryu are shocked with what just happened. Ryu's still not used to handling Wolf at all. Even when he said he'll keep it to a minimum, Ryu clearly misjudged the power output. Lord Midgardsormr raises his hand, signaling the end of the battle and announcing Ryu as the winner. The guards immediately tend to their injured captain while the Fenrir family cheer Ryu their congratulations. However, Ryu can't seem to be happy with the battle. He's worried about the commander's state. Lord Midgardsormr reassures the beast tamer that he'll be alright as it was a battle by mutual consent. This gives Ryu relief. He didn't really want the Dragon King to have a bad first impression on him. Approaching Ryu, the elder acknowledges Ryu's improvement when it comes to handling his magic power, though he did overdo it earlier. Still, he's doing great with practice. After that little fiasco, Lord Midgardsormr opens the castle gates and welcomes everyone to the Dragon Kingdom. As they are walking, a shadow of a lady lurks in one of the buildings. She quickly notes the arrival of Ryu and how interesting he seems to be. Smirking, she looks forward to meeting and speaking with such individual. Uh-oh, let's hope she ain't trouble. While that lady stays in the background for a bit, let's go back to Ryu and the others who are enjoying strolling the area. It's really a thriving place. Lord Midgardsormr explains that this is actually the dragon's main stronghold, which makes it as every bit of impressive as any human kingdom. Both Ryu and Ruri then notice that Karen has stopped walking and is eyeing something in a nearby shop. When she's asked what's wrong, Karen immediately tells them nothing is wrong. It's too late to deny it when they already saw Karen eyeing some pretty cute hair clips at the shop. Hearing their conversation, Lord Midgardsormr informs them that they can come back later to shop since they'll have plenty of time before the war begins. The two girls are elated to hear Ryu agree with Lord Midgardsormr, telling them they'll all come shopping together later. But of course, first order of business, meeting the Dragon Lord in the castle. The castle is bussin' with busy citizens. It's not just Draco Newts, but so many different races are present. As they walk past these people, Lord Midgardsormr explains how the Dragon Kingdom is not only a nation of dragons who can take human form, but also a kingdom of evolution. Draco Newts are part human, and there are some who are half-breeds from humans who transformed, and then they transformed as well. Some also evolved from lizard folk to become Draco Newts, hence why they have so many different forms. As they head down the corridors, Ryu asks about the Dragon Lord and his persona. Lord Midgardsormr then answers him that the Dragon Lord is special evolved type amongst the dragons. He's supremely strong since the Elder likes the Dragon Lord's power on par with his. They finally arrive at the throne room where both the Dragon Lord and Queen await them. Taking in the ambiance, Ryu can really feel the difference when it comes to royalty, just like the lords in Fall Crown. Lord Midgardsormr immediately introduces the guests to the Dragon Lord and Queen, who weren't expecting him to bring such warriors of high caliber. The Queen then turns her eyes to Ryu, asking if he really defeated their commander early. Giggling, she then tells Ryu she's never seen or heard of a human of such strength, aside from a hero. Ryu's tensed body instantly relaxes as he hears the Queen's laughter. The Dragon Lord then divulges his plans on having a strategy meeting with the Fenrir pack. Aside from that, the Queen will assign an attendant to them, telling them they can happily rest and wait in their guest rooms. Before leaving, the Elder is curious about the strategy meeting. Why would they be having one when he's not seeing any other race in this room aside from them? The Dragon Lord's face grows anxious. Silence echoes throughout the room. From this, Ryu is able to piece the puzzle together and realizes they're the only ones fighting the evil dragon. Sighing, the Dragon Lord confirms this. Last time they had the cooperation of the previous hero and various other races. But this time, with the possibility of the new generation's hero arriving, the races that helped them before have now declined. Everyone grows worried. They'll have less reinforcement than before. Will they really outsmart this evil dragon? Realizing the mention of the new generation's hero, Ryu quickly remembers his friend Tia. He then asks the dragons if they've asked help from her, thinking this is exactly when she should be stepping up. It is then revealed by Lord Midgardsormr that Tia, the current hero, has different views about monsters. She's treating all forms and mention of monsters with hostility. Whether they're half-breed or can understand and speak the human language, they're likely to be attacked by Tia. The dragons have come to realize they can't rely on her. Ryu's mind goes blank. He can't seem to process the idea of his best friend attacking monsters indiscriminately. The Elder gives his understanding towards the situation. They're already here, and they're still very much willing to help despite the lack of manpower. The Dragon Lord then bows his head to give his apologies towards the Fenrir pack. Ryu now recalls a time before Tia and Taiga officially started their adventures. Taiga had mentioned something about Tia acting strange. He just felt like something was off with Tia. Taiga then shared about a quest to deal with some monsters. Tia had this look. She's always had this frightening look towards monsters, like she abhors them. Back then, Ryu didn't think much of it, especially that Tia was never a scary person. Even when they were children and she got mad, Tia never looked or felt scary. Taiga then confessed how it's difficult for him to ask Tia directly. When he asks Ryu if he knew anything, the beast tamer could only scratch the back of his head while saying no. Giving it some thought, Ryu thinks it's just Tia's sense PF justice getting stronger since she's aiming to be a hero. If that's all it is to it, then great. But what if there's more to it than meets the eye? What could have happened to make Tia hate monsters that much? Speaking of, the hero party has just left Fallcrown, stressing about the outrageous demand Lord Dwar had asked of them. Taiga is obviously distraught to be asked for a Fenrir's Fang and Garuda's Flame just to make a sword. Sounds familiar? Lord Dwar had listed the materials he'll need in order for him to make a legendary class weapon on par with his recent and finest work. Sighing, Taiga can't believe they wasted their time coming all this way because they heard the King of Fallcrown was a master craftsman. Gran the Knight butts in and comments that it did made sense. They're asking for a legendary class sword, so it's only fair for the materials to be legendary as well. Tia then tells them they don't need Lord Dwar to make the sword, which kinda defeats the purpose of their travel. Maria, the party's cleric, reminds them that Tia is the hero, and she fights on the front lines in the most dangerous places. It's only fair if she needs the best weapon she can get. Taiga proposes they head to the guild for now. They might be able to find someone who has information on how to get the materials they need. As soon as they arrive, people give them odd looks. Gran can sense the hostility coming from the townfolks. The people just clam up and scurry off the moment they mention Fenrir and Garuda. Tia now wonders if something happened in this country involving the mentioned legendary beasts. Suddenly, a hooded person approaches them and asks if they want to hear whispers about Fenrir and Garuda. The information broker then asks Tia as to why she wants to know about the mentioned beasts. It's not like she wants to, more like she needs to because Lord Dwar told them to bring Fenrir's Fang and Garuda's Flame in order for him to forge her a weapon. When Gran presses the information broker to spill the beans, the hooded man then tells them about what happened a month ago. A man had appeared accompanied by a Fenrir and Garuda. He was able to restore peace between Lord Dwar and his younger brother Lord Dolph. In short, he is something of a hero to this country. It is rumored that Tia, the hero, despise monsters, and because the man's familiars are Fenrir and Garuda, both legendary beasts, the townfolks fear that Tia would go off and kill them. Furthermore, if information leaked and those legendary beasts sought revenge, it could ruin Fallcrown all at once. This is why everyone doesn't want to speak to the hero's party. Taiga then notices Tia going awfully quiet. With her back turned towards them, Tia bleeds in anger as she vows to kill all the monsters. She can't allow monsters possessing such terrifying power to roam free. With this, she thanks the information broker for what they just learned and hurries to leave. Yikes. As soon as she walks away, Tia promises to eradicate every last terrifying monster there is, and once that's done, she's going to find Ryu. Meanwhile, back at the Dragon Kingdom, Ryu, Ruri, and Karen are all sitting waiting for the Dragon Lord and the Elders to finish with their strategy meeting. Ryu is already bored, but it's not like he can just wander off. Ruri then gives an amazing idea of touring around the castle. Both Ryu and Karen light up with her suggestion. Before they leave though, Ryu goes outside to tell someone and get permission. Luckily enough, a lady dressed as an attendant was already waiting outside their room. Ryu is visibly surprised by her presence, immediately thinking this is the attendant assigned by the Dragon Queen. The lady then asks Ryu if they're planning on going out, to which the beast tamer confirms. This catches the lady's attention, but soon tells them she'll guide them around the castle. As they walk, Ryu thinks about the lady. Not in that way. He just never sensed the lady at all, that's why he was visibly surprised moments ago. Anyways, the tour is beyond their expectations. They already know they're in a castle. But wowza, it is an opulent one at that. Look at this splendid dining hall. And there's a huge library with a showcase of books from all genres and times. The Dragon Kingdom also has training grounds for everyone to use. And of course, the creme of the crop, the kingdom's pride, the central courtyard. Such an immaculate display of royalty, even Ryu, Ruri, and Karen are amazed. They all give their compliments with everything they've seen. The attendant is also pleased with their kind words and will make sure it reaches the Dragon Queen and the Dragon Princess. She'll be thrilled to hear such wonderful compliments. At the mention of princess, Ryu's ears perk up. He never knew there was a princess here. The attendant does tell him it's vital for the future of the kingdom, which makes sense. Scratching the back of his head, Ryu then asks a question he's been meaning to ask the attendant all throughout their tour. Pointing towards the person hiding behind a nearby pilaster, Ryu asks the attendant who is it that's been following them. Now that the cat's out of the bag, might as well show herself. The little girl proudly makes herself known, even having her hands on her waist. Ryu didn't expect to see a child. He then asks her if she needed something from him. Taken aback, the girl starts fidgeting as she doesn't know what to tell Ryu. Spotting Ryu's sword, she quickly points out to it and commands Ryu to hand it over. Without any slight hesitation, Ryu immediately tells the little girl he won't. And everything goes quiet. Did he just say no to this little girl? Mouth agape, the little girl asks him why not. Ryu then explains to her that the sword is important to him. Pulse, he wouldn't just hand it out to a kid. That's very dangerous. This infuriates the little girl, who instantly has a temper tantrum. The attendant then approaches Ryu, apologizing in behalf of the girl. She then leaves for a moment so she could call for the little girl's guardian. Ryu tries reassuring the girl that her parents are on their way. Karen also approaches the little girl, asking if she's lost. Karen is also happy to stay with the little girl for the time being. The girl clenches her teeth and her fists are now shaking from seething anger. She quickly jumps towards Ryu's sword, screaming of her plans of taking it by force. Good thing Ryu's quick on his feet and is able to dodge the girl's attempts. Ryu is now stressed with this little girl's antics. She even explains that she's only doing it because Ryu won't give her his sword. Emphasis on his sword. The little tries snatching the sword again, but to no avail. She's pretty quick for a kid, but Ryu is just quicker. Plus, this girl's moves are quite simple, so Ryu can easily dodge her. Now the little girl screams at Ryu to give her the sword. When Ryu asks for Ruri and Karen's help, the two girls only tell him he can dodge the little girl just fine. Karen also wants to play tag with her papa later. Well, you're not expecting help from these two, Ryu. The little girl's body starts shaking. She's definitely mad now. How dare this human defy her? The girl's fingernails turn into sharp-like claws. Reminds me of Wolverine. Huh. She then points out it's Ryu's fault for not doing what she says, and that the beast tamer will regret underestimating her in the first place. The little girl lunges at Ryu, claws first. Before she could reach him, Ryu manages to dodge her once more. This earns the girl a solid thud on the pilaster. Worried, Ryu quickly asks if the girl's okay. Wincing from the pain, the girl starts bawling her eyes out. That really did a number on her. Throwing yet another tantrum, the girl now questions her capabilities. Why can't she whine despite her magic power and powerful bloodline? A frantic Ryu tells her they'll call a doctor ASAP. With impeccable timing, the attendant arrives with the Dragon Queen. Confused, Ryu asks the attendant for the whereabouts of the little girl's guardian. Before the attendant could answer Ryu, the Dragon Queen steps forward and bows down as she apologizes for her troublesome daughter. Ryu just felt his soul fly away to outer space. The Dragon Queen apologetically confirms the little girl to be her daughter. Not only that, but she's also the grandchild of the supposed attendant. Shocking, isn't it? Ryu needs to close his mouth or else a horde of mosquitoes are coming right in. Being the child's grandmother means that the lady is totally fine to be the little girl's guardian. But Grandma doesn't want to claim such an ill-mannered grandchild. Ryu's head begins spinning from this confusing royal dragon family tree. Yes, Ryu. The person you thought was your attendant is actually the Empress Dowager, and the little girl is the Dragon Queen's daughter, which makes this spoiled brat the Dragon Princess of this kingdom. What a plot twist this has been for a simple castle tour. Their little commotion gets interrupted with the arrival of Gramps. He already heard the noise from nearby and has now discovered that it's Ryu. Gramps also greets the Empress Dowager and longtime ally, Tiamat. After asking for a 411 on their little argument earlier, Gramps understands the root cause of the problem. The Dragon Princess Uka wanted Ryu's sword, but the Beast Tamer didn't want to give it at all. Uka gets angrily defensive about it, calling Ryu a presumptuous human for dodging her attacks. Uh-oh, tantrum time for the princess. Uka continues to ramble about her momentary loss when Tiamat furiously scolds her. The Empress Dowager then explains to Uka that it was an inevitable loss because of the princess's spoiled attitude and lack of daily training. Tiamat then turns towards Ryu, bowing as she apologizes once more for her granddaughter's behavior. With Tiamat's apology also comes a favor she'd like to ask Ryu. The Empress Dowager wants Ryu to be Uka's training partner. This surprises Ryu, of course. Why would Tiamat want him to be the princess's training partner? Wouldn't it be better if it's someone stronger? However, Tiamat knows Uka too well. She knows the princess would simply run away if it's someone else. Tiamat has observed Uka's keen interest in Ryu. In this case, Uka would dedicate her time and effort in training if her partner was the Beast Tamer. Uka doesn't seem too impressed with her grandmother's disclosure. It's not only that Uka's training relies on Ryu's participation, but also her assurance of becoming the next queen. After all, she is the only heir to the throne. Ryu seems to be pressured with Tiamat's request. He's ready to turn her down, but Gramps sweeps in and puts a hand on the Beast Tamer, assuring him that this is the perfect opportunity to get stronger. It's hitting two birds with one stone. Plus, isn't it a boost of confidence that the Dragon Royals are seeking Ryu's help? Ryu gets into thinking mode. After a while, Ryu changes his mind and accepts Tiamat's request. He then asks Tiamat for something in return, for her to be Ryu's training master. Surprise etches Tiamat's face. Ryu then tells her that she's the perfect training master since she's the Empress Dowager. That title alone gives Ryu enough reason to know that she's someone of formidable skill. To get stronger as much as he can, Ryu wants Tiamat's guidance. A smile then replaces the confused look from earlier as Tiamat gladly takes Ryu's request. The Beast Tamer is beyond grateful for the opportunity too. Turning towards Karen, Ryu tells her to take it easy for a while, but Karen adamantly refuses to do so. She wants to train so she could be useful to Papa and her newfound family. Ryu is only worried that it'll be too dangerous for Karen. Worst case scenario, this war might leave them in their deathbeds. However, Karen really can't take the fact of being left out, of being alone. She wants to help in any way she can. Hearing their conversation, Gramps chimes in and volunteers to train Karen. He's more than happy to train a willing participant, and it's always better to have more strength on their side. At some point, Ryu talks to the animated Karen. Meanwhile, Gramps suspiciously approaches Tiamat, whispering to her about a trial. Tiamat's eyes begin to squint, knowing full well what Gramps is talking about. Both elders then face Ryu. Tiamat informs him that training will start immediately the next day while Gramps asks Ryu not to die. Hee. That's not a bad omen, right, Gramps? The beginning of their training sets off the next day, and it is nothing short of brutal combat training. Ryu is getting his ass kicked by Tiamat. He's shaking on the ground, unable to move, while Tiamat looks like she's having the time of her life ordering him around. Ryu now understands what Gramps meant yesterday. That sneaky old Fenrir knew exactly what Ryu was getting into when he offered to train Karen. As soon as Ryu gets back on his feet, he's immediately met with fists and kicks once more. Tiamat has seen that Ryu's fundamentals are in place. The problem is Ryu has too much wasted movement. Tiamat then instructs Ryu to minimize exhausting his stamina as much as he can so he can move more efficiently. Another round of kicks sends Ryu flying. With his potential right now, Tiamat tells him he won't be able to defeat the Dahaka. The gravity of his training starts to weigh in on Ryu. This is much tougher than he expected, but knowing Ruri and Karen are also trying their best at training has his hopes high up. With a determined look, Ryu readies his fists. He's already reached this far to catch up to the heroes. He has to get stronger. But once again, Tiamat easily sends him flying back with just a simple swish of her fists. Ultimately, Tiamat calls it a day. It was a long, good first day, especially for Ryu and Uka, who are wobbling from the brutality of their training. They're just glad it's finally over. Correction. It's over when they finish the 100 laps of running Tiamat just told them to do. Oh, poor little trainers. During dinner time, both Ryu and Uka are looking pretty exhausted. Tiamat isn't done too, as she tells the two that their meals will be managed starting that night. With this, leftovers aren't allowed. After Tiamat leaves, Ruri and Karen finally ask them if they're okay since they sense their tough time at training. These two better brace themselves, cause this is just the beginning. A few days later, Ryu and Uka are having a one-on-one combat battle. Ryu is clearly taking the defensive side, waiting for an opening to land a hit on Uka. As soon as he sees it, Ryu immediately grabs Uka by her arm and throttles her to the ground. After Tiamat ends their battle, Ryu is already exhausted. Uka, on the other hand, is whining for losing again. Tiamat then gives her observation on the two. Uka's movements are too monotonous that it's easily predictable. She needs to think of her offenses first before she attacks. Meanwhile, Ryu's moves are okay, but his reaction time is a bit slow. He relies too much with what he sees, that he's not able to gauge movements with instinct. At that rate, Tiamat tells him that an agile enemy would render him dead. Ryu needs to work on being able to perceive his enemy's attacks using instinct. Scratching the back of his head, Ryu renders this impossible to do, but Tiamat tells him otherwise. Ryu just needs to be able to read his opponent's magical power. Magical power, accompanying battlefield strategy like your next attack or next target, moves faster than the physical body. One is able to sense that magical power and grasp their opponent's movements in the process. Confusion clouds Ryu's head. He doesn't get it at all. Sighing, Tiamat understands it's a bit difficult to just explain it through words. She then asks Ryu if he's ever felt overwhelmed during a face-off with an enemy before, and then Ryu instantly thinks of the Dwarf King. This reaction alone is enough for Tiamat to know that Ryu has indeed the ability to sense magical power. In that case, what better way to teach this beast tamer than to apply it in actual combat? Tiamat starts undressing herself. As soon as she starts unbuttoning her shirt, Ryu instinctively covers his eyes, telling the Empress Dowager to cover herself up. However, a shadow quickly hovers over Ryu. Looking over, Ryu is met with Tiamat in dragon form. Now a trial shall commence for the beast tamer. If he can land a single scratch on her, then Ryu passes the test. He's also free to use weapons. While he combats Tiamat, Uka will also need to land an attack on Ryu. If she does, then she also passes her test. This isn't easy for Ryu at all. He needs to continuously attack Tiamat while dodging Uka's attacks. There's no one else to blame but Ryu though. He did want Tiamat to be his master. Even Gramps agrees that the real test starts now. At Tiamat's word, the test commences. She quickly blows an attack on Ryu using her tail. Ryu barely manages to dodge that attack just now. Tiamat tries to intimidate the beast tamer by telling him the Dahaka they'll be facing is much stronger than her. Ryu then gets his sword, but before he could use it, Uka comes from behind with her own set of attacks. Luckily, Ryu dodges Uka's attacks just on time too. Ryu needs to think of something fast. Tiamat is supposed to be big for a target. It should be easy to spot her, but she's managed to dodge every single attack Ryu makes. Not only that, when he's finally close to landing a blow on Tiamat, Uka interferes. Tiamat yells at Ryu for having the leisure to think about his next moves. He only needs to do one thing: read the magical power. As long as he relies on his eyes, Ryu will never pass this test. He still doesn't get the gist of Tiamat's lecture. He's huffing and puffing from all the offense and defense he's been doing. But still, he hasn't passed the test. In Tiamat's eyes, she's seeing the limit of a human being. She can't deny that Ryu has done well for a human. But there is something more to the beast tamer. A few days ago when Gramps approached her, he didn't just whisper about giving Ryu a test. Gramps also divulged about the possibility of that person residing within Ryu. Seeing the beast tamer's stature right now, Tiamat doesn't see any proof of that. Could it be that the Fenrir elder had been mistaken? Suddenly, Ryu's demeanor changes and Tiamat is met with a certain look. Could it be? Seeing it as a risk she's willing to take, Tiamat starts taunting Ryu about humans being weak. Meanwhile, Uka has been planning on attacking Ryu while he seems distracted enough. She stops her tracks when she hears Tiamat tell her about killing Ryu instead. Tiamat then shifts her taunting towards Uka, telling the princess that failing in this test is as good as being killed by Dahaka. So why prolong the agony, right? Ryu, who's been on his knees all this time, awaits Tiamat's final blow. Tiamat's enormous claws are about to squish the life out of Ryu when the something in him shifts. Ryu didn't come this far just to end like this. He's not going to let all his hard work go to waste. A hand then reaches out towards Ryu's shoulder, as if to give support. In a blink of an eye, a shadow looms at Ryu's back. And just like that, Ryu managed to dodge Tiamat's dragon claw. Not only that, but he also managed to scratch her. He never knew it hit Tiamat's claw. For an instant there, before Tiamat's claw could reach him, Ryu was able to sense a large mass approaching him. He acted on instinct and dodged before he giving a counterattack. Is this the sensation of reading magical power? Just as Tiamat had told him, it's not impossible at all. All he needed to do was try. Tiamat is indeed happy to know it was worth putting on an act for Ryu and Uka. Not like she was really going to kill their guest, right? Ryu sighs in relief upon knowing this. Well, Tiamat was half serious though. The poor beast tamer is in a loss for words yet again. Smiling, Tiamat then informs Ryu that he passes the test with flying colors. An ecstatic Ryu immediately thanks his master. While these two are in a state of joy, Uka is yet again throwing a classic temper tantrum. She doesn't see it fair that only Ryu passed the test. She's not giving up until she passes as well. Tiamat reprimands her granddaughter for being selfish. Uka can always try again another day. Before their argument could get any worse, Ryu butts in to tell them that the princess did indeed pass as well, pointing out to his loose shirt button. Ryu explains how he didn't really notice it until much later. He guesses it was from Uka's sudden attack from behind. Tiamat has no choice but to mark this as passed, since she never really specified anything about landing the attacks on the body. Hearing that she also passed, Uka's eyes twinkle in pure joy. She finally did it. Uka also congratulates Ryu for passing, earning her a pat on her head. Ruri and Karen finally join them, expressing their heartfelt congratulations to the duo. They can finally eat dinner together. Nighttime finally falls. Tiamat and Gramps seem to be in the mood for a drink or two. They have plenty to discuss aside from their golden days. They sure both miss the days when monsters were all vying for power. Back then, these two legendary beasts were so power-hungry. To be able to catch a glimpse of young Tiamat and Gramps. On a serious note, Gramps then asks Tiamat about their training, to which the Empress Dowager shares how it's all going smoothly, and her impression of Ryu as a good person. Barking out a laugh, Gramps can't believe this dragon is praising a human. He never thought this day would come. In Tiamat's defense, she never thought a human could really keep up with her training. Props to Ryu and all his determination. Even Gramps believes he'll be able to surpass the elders soon. Tiamat agrees with Gramps. She's really impressed with how open-minded and patient the beast tamer is. I mean, he had to endure Uka's selfishness and brattiness, but he's never ever winced or grimaced at her at all. Perhaps this could be a chance for Tiamat to set up an arranged marriage between Ryu and Uka? With Tiamat's sudden idea, Gramps isn't able to control himself and merely choked on his drink. Truly, the Empress Dowager is joking. Can she really handle the thought of giving the dragon throne to a human? Come to think of it, Tiamat really doesn't mind at all. Some problems might arise, but with Ryu's skill, solving it won't be an issue. Tiamat is more than willing to welcome the strong rather than just rely on bloodline. And besides, it seems that Ryu really is the chosen one by that person. This statement alone has Gramps in a serious tone. He was right all along. He already had a hunch when he found out Ryu had magical power surpassing that of a human. Gramps had also been suspicious of Ryu being the chose one by their god. According to Tiamat, she had felt their god's power emanating from Ryu during today's trial. But why would that person grant power to Ryu? Many have tried to make contracts to obtain their god's power before. They all died terrible deaths from power too great to handle. Tiamat and Gramps don't have a choice but to confirm this with Ryu directly. If their god has indeed acknowledged Ryu, then the beast tamer holds a power far greater than any bloodline, a power no one else can ever grasp. Gramps is then curious if anyone else had taken notice as well. Tiamat believes they're the only ones that have, since it's been far too long since their god had disappeared. For now, they'll just have to wait for the right time to come for everything to unravel. Days go by so fast. 5 days in training with Tiamat, Ryu has obviously made a lot of progress in combat. Tiamat herself has felt his punches getting much heavier. It's truly impressive to see such progress from this human. Ryu is happy to see that his training is paying off. If he continues to improve, he'll surely be able to land a hit on Dahaka. Because of the continuous training, Tiamat has decided to give Ryu a day off tomorrow. After all, Ryu deserves to have some R&R since he's been pushing his body quite a lot since they've arrived. While Tiamat informs Gramps, Ryu also instructed to take Ruri and Karen with him. This is a lovely time to explore the city's premises too. The next day, Ryu is still fast asleep in his comfy bed. Someone appears to be calling him. Is this a dream? As he shifts to see the person, it's a silhouette of a girl trying to wake Ryu up. It's none other than Ruri scolding the beast tamer for waking up late. Ruri has her hands on her hips as she tells Ryu that both her and Karen have been waiting for him. They did agree to go to town together today. As soon as Ryu got ready, they all venture out to town. They're not really that familiar with the kingdom, so it's a bit hard for them to know where to go first. Ryu does remember the time when they arrived in Dragon Kingdom. Karen was looking at some cute ribbons, so he suggests they all go and look at some accessories. Both girls happily agree with Ryu's suggestion. They're also accompanied by Uka too. She's here to guide them since they're considered guests. Ryu didn't expect the princess to go with them at first, but Tiamat asked this favor from him since she's being called for a meeting about countermeasures with the arrival of Dahaka. When Ryu suggested to have the other attendants look after Uka, Tiamat regretfully tells the beast tamer that no one else can keep the princess in check. And since Tiamat sees Ryu as a strong person to take care of the kid, here they are now. Hopefully nothing happens to the princess or else Ryu is screwed. Arriving at the shop, the girls are instantly at awe with the impeccably sparkling things. The attendant immediately greets Uka, who tells him they're there to look for accessories. Both Ruri and Karen have twinkling eyes as they spot a lot of pretty stuff around the shop. They're immediately immersed with looking for what they want to buy. Meanwhile, Ryu notices that the princess isn't looking around like Ruri and Karen. He then asks her about it. It startles Uka but then replies how she already has a lot of thing and doesn't need anything else. Giving Ryu a stern side-eye, Uka changes the subject by asking Ryu why he seeks power so much. Surprised with Uka's question, Ryu doesn't really know where to start. He ultimately just tells the princess the main goal of his training, to be able to catch up with his childhood friends. He then shares how his two friends have rare combat-type skills and Ryu goes stuck with a crappy one. Since he couldn't keep up with them, Ryu got left behind. This is why he wants to get stronger. Uka seems a bit confused with what Ryu's talking about. How could he say he's had an unfortunate skill when he has all that magical power? When Uka asks what kind of skill he got, Ryu immediately tells her that he's a beast tamer. This shocks Uka so much. She can't believe she got beaten by a beast tamer. As she screams at Ryu, the beast tamer does his best to defend himself, not like he's lying at all. He then tells Uka how Ruri, Karen, and the others that he's met, that he got stronger. If Ryu hadn't met Ruri in the first place, he wouldn't have been able to train or travel to other countries. At the mention of other countries, Uka's interest seems to have shifted towards that. The princess is now more interested with the kind of places Ryu has been to. She's also keen on knowing what types of people these places had. With the bombardment of questions, Ryu signals Uka to slow down a bit. He's only traveled a bit, plus the Dragon Kingdom is only the second country he's been to. But shouldn't Uka be more familiar with other countries since she's a princess? Ryu's question has Uka wide-eyed. She then looks away as she tells him that's not the case for her. Uka has never left the Dragon Empire because she's the princess and only a child. She hasn't been allowed to venture out the outskirts of the kingdom at all. Clutching her skirts tightly, Uka expresses how much she wants to be free. Seeing the princess like this, Ryu can't help but feel like they're somewhat alike. Uka immediately interjects by saying there's no way royal blood can be in par with commoners. Ryu just laughs this off while explaining that he only meant that the princess also thought there was no way he can go out into the world. Ryu also thought about that before. The only reason he got left out was because his childhood best friends were worried about him. He used to ask, why only me, all the time. He didn't blame those who could travel freely. Just that every time his friends got back from traveling and Ryu would hear stories, he would feel jealous and frustrated. Like he was having major FOMO, fear of missing out, attacks. The princess realizes this is exactly the same thing she's been feeling all along. She then gets frustrated about it. It's exactly what her father, mother, and even grandmother tell her, that it's for her sake, even though kids her age have been traveling near and far. But no, she has to have an overprotective family just because she's heir to the throne. They've constantly worried about that, but never thought about how she'd feel being left alone constantly. If Uka has the chance to go on a journey, she'd visit places no one else has been and boast about it. She'd meet all kinds of races, eat all kinds of food, have all kinds of experiences, and then Uka's rambling slows down now, hesitating on the last sentence. She starts blushing as she shyly tells Ryu she'd like to make some friends along the way too. The princess then quickly goes on defensive mode, explaining she's strong enough so it's not like being along is a problem or anything. Looking at the embarrassed princess, Ryu suddenly knows why Uka was messing with them when they first met. Before he could ask Uka about it, Karen calls Ryu's attention to show him the pretty ribbon on her hair. After showing off the cute ribbon she's picked, Karen then asks about what Ryu and Uka were talking about just before she interrupted them. While Uka quickly babbles out an excuse of them just having a casual chit-chat, Ryu had other plans and told Karen that the princess wants to be friends with them. This has Uka turning red as a tomato. She then scolds Ryu for saying such things so freely. Karen, on the other hand, is confused. She's always thought they were already friends. Now Uka is screaming. Her reaction might be that booming it has Ryu flying away. Uka tries to clarify the situation by asking when did that happen exactly. Thinking about it, Karen casually tells the princess that they've already talked, ate, and trained together. A happy Karen then tells Uka that you only do such things with friends. Uka is not having it. Oh boy. Just how complicated is Uka's definition of friendship? Karen takes Uka's reaction the wrong way. She already has her papa and sister Ruri. She now has a family, but this is the first time she has a friend. Karen expresses how happy she was when Uka and her became friends, but it now feels like the feeling isn't mutual. This takes Uka aback, and it's not helping that Ryu and Ruri are chiming in as well. Ryu says he doesn't have many friends either, and that he'd love to be friends with Uka. Ruri also tells Uka she only has Ryu, Karen, and her family. She'd love to be close to someone else too. Uka starts grumbling as she stares at dejected expression. Giving in, Uka yells out a sounding fine. Then she tells them she's just giving in because they're really going this far to convince Uka. The princess has also allowed Ruri and Karen to call her by her name too. To seal the deal, the happy Karen tells Uka they should buy matching ribbons. Even though the princess already has one, Karen grabs Uka's hand and tells her it's proof of their friendship. This will also let everyone know that they're super close friends. Upon seeing Karen's genuine happiness, Uka tries to hold back from crying. Ryu and Ruri stare at the two girls like some proud parents. Both Karen and Uka look so happy, and they're glad these two are getting along just fine. Noticing just then that Ruri hasn't bought anything, Ryu asks if she's worried about money. They did make a lot from selling those materials and fall crowns, so Ruri can pick out whatever she likes in the shop. Ryu then shows Ruri a necklace, but she turns it down, claiming its chain looks too much of a collar. Plus, it'll only get in the way during battle. Before Ryu can finish suggesting about getting something to eat instead, he spots a pretty scarf and instinctively puts it on Ruri's ankle. Ruri can definitely use this one since it doesn't feel too tight, and she can always wear it around her arm too. It's also white, so it's look great with Ruri's black hair. Hearing Ryu's compliment has Ruri's cheeks warming. Ryu explains he's not really an accessory expert and it's always up to Ruri to decide if she likes it. Ruri doesn't like it though, she loves it and promises to treasure it. After leaving the shop, the gang plans on going to another popular one to sightsee. Uka happily chirps and leads the way. However, something catches the princess's eyes. It's a dragon in the sky. As soon as the dragon spots them, it quickly hovers over them to drop off Tiamat in front of them. Based on Tiamat's disgruntled expression, it's bad news. Apparently, the sealing spell on Dahaka seems to be unraveling faster than expected, and at this rate it might wreak havoc today. She's now here to instruct Ryu and the others to prepare for battle. Looks like no one had expected the war to start so soon. It's all too sudden. But in Ryu's mind, there's no turning back now. The beast tamer then asks Tiamat if they can go to the sealed cave. And that's exactly why Tiamat came to get them. For now, they have to return to the castle to prepare, and everyone will head there together. Meanwhile, in the cave, an ominous voice echoes in the darkness. Finally, it says, "The time has come for the chance to fulfill this Dahaka's true goal. Whatever this goal might be, we shall hope Ryu and the others will be able to defeat it." While heading back to the castle, everyone can't help feel the heaviness of what they're about to face. It's finally time for the showdown, as per Ruri. Turning to Tiamat, Ryu is curious if she's ever faced the Dahaka before. Turns out the Empress Dowager did assist in the battle before. Back then she was still young and inexperienced, so she only fought the Dahaka's underlings. Even those were already considered formidable foes. This has Ryu mulling over his capabilities in facing the Dahaka later. If Tiamat has considered such underlings strong, will Ryu be able to fight against the Dahaka itself? Staring at Ryu, the Empress Dowager already knows what the beast tamer is thinking about. She gives Ryu some advice. The boy's weakness isn't that he's human, it's that he doesn't have confidence in his own skills. Tiamat then reassures Ryu that his training has definitely honed his skills in becoming stronger. With a hand to her heart, Tiamat tells Ryu that she, his training master, would be the one to believe in him instead. Giving him a warm smile, Tiamat asks Ryu to have a little confidence and believe that he is strong. This does wonders to Ryu as he agrees with Tiamat. Uka then butts in this heartwarming moment, shoving Ryu aside as she promises to do her best as well. The gang then have a little laugh. They surely need this to ease those racking nerves. Time passes by so quickly, and before they know it, everyone is already headed towards the Dahaka's location. At the end of the cave, a group of mages are casting a spell on the concealment. The Dragon King immediately gives his praises on the mages' good work. According to Tiamat, they've been pouring mana into the seal to keep it from breaking too fast. But she spoke too soon. The mages quickly alert everyone that the seal has reached its limit and that the Dahaka will break loose in just a few minutes. Everyone understood what this meant. It was all up to them now. Soon, a gush of darkness makes it out of the crevices of the cave. The cracks begin to get bigger and bigger. In no time, the mage's concealment spell has also faltered. Witnessing this, the Dragon King rushes everyone to evacuate the premises. Darkness envelops the cave's surroundings. Everyone can feel the ominous energy emanating from the Dahaka. A booming voice then rings throughout the room, telling everyone how it's been waiting for this moment to finally come, all because it wants to face a certain foe. The Dahaka narrows its eyes on the species in front of him. Dragon Newts. Fenrir. Its eyes soon fall upon Ryu and the others. The Dahaka then asks if Ryu is this era's hero, to which he quickly denies. When the Dragon Lord commands everyone to fall into battle position, the Dahaka gets annoyed and calls him an annoying little insect. Lifting its huge hand, the evil dragon casts an incantation to remove the Dragon family and Fenrir clan from the area. This evil dragon isn't interested in them. Its eyes are all set on Ryu and his companions. Ryu dreadfully looks around, but alas, his allies have really disappeared. Even Ruri and Uka are frazzled by their family's disappearance. When asked of their whereabouts, the Dahaka only tells them that the missing species have been transported to a different place because they would have ruined the fun for the evil dragon. By fun, it meant fighting with whom it thought is the hero party. Yup, Ryu and his companions. Meanwhile, Ruri's dad has transformed into Fenrir form and is trying to break the wall, barring them from interfering with the battle. The wall does crack, but it eventually goes back to normal like nothing really hit it. Rory's dad screams in frustration. Grandma Fenrir believes the whole place is part of Dahaka's magic. Well, it's that powerful that it can really cast a spell this level. Rory's dad is already on edge because his daughter is elsewhere fighting a powerful foe. Gramps interjects, telling his son-in-law to calm down. He reassures his son-in-law that Ryu and everyone else have trained hard for this day. He knows they won't lose so easily. As Gramps tells everyone to focus on finding a way to escape, Grandma Fenrir notices something lurking from behind him. She immediately alerts her husband, who in turn slings the black snake away. Now, a lot of black snakes from Dahaka have emerged, surrounding the Fenrir and Dragon family. Seeing their enemy's countermove, this is going to take them a bit more time and effort than they initially thought. While they're busy dealing with the Dahaka's spawns, Ryu and the others are trying to subdue the Dahaka. The Dahaka is just casually standing on its feet as it casts spells of attacks on them. They all manage to dodge the Dahaka's attacks, but the evil dragon makes a snide comment saying dodging won't be enough to defeat it. It then taunts Ryu to come at it already. Ryu is already in form, quickly lunging himself towards the Dahaka with his blade. Ryu manages to land a slice on the Dahaka's arm. Confusion and surprise paint Ryu's face. Why isn't the Dahaka dodging and merely took the hit? Tiamat then reminds the beast tamer that the Dahaka's flesh and blood can actually spawn underlings. Attacking this evil dragon recklessly will only make matters worse for them. And just like what Tiamat had said, underlings in the form of black snakes have spawned. Ryu does manage to slice it dead before it can actually bite him. Looking at them right now, Tiamat knows they can't afford to have any more spawned underlings, especially that most of their forces have disappeared. Right now, they'll need to land a decisive blow in just one strike. Tiamat immediately thinks of how to do this, or more on who will do this. The one she knows that can pull this off is herself, since she's faced the Dahaka before. Turning her eyes at Ryu, Tiamat also knows this beast tamer can pull it off since he carries the person inside him. The Dahaka then recites another incantation, which Ryu confidently says it's the same move as earlier. Unfortunately, it's not. Imagine that spell but 100 times more. That's how powerful this Dahaka is. Everyone is shocked with the number of magic circles that have appeared before them. And judging by the blow it just made, this spell is way stronger than before. They're definitely not facing an ordinary mage. The evil dragon laughs at Ryu and the others, taunting them for being weak. Is this all they've got to defeat a mighty enemy like him? In Ryu's POV, he's a bit lost at what to do next. The Dahaka keeps on casting spells non-stop, and even if they manage to hit it, underlings would just pop out. As their spirits begin to lose hope, Tiamat tells them not to panic. She then instructs everyone to watch the dragon's movements and to stay calm. They need to turn the tables around. The Dahaka shouldn't be the one controlling the pacing of this battlefield, or they'll eventually lose. Even if Ryu and the others are stronger now, they still lack the experience of a real battle. All they can do is believe the Dragon Lord and Gramps will return. Tiamat's plan now is to buy them time till they return. In fighting stance, Tiamat takes over command. She's now in forefront as if a mother protecting her children. However, not all her children are smart enough to read the room, I guess. Uka steps in confidently saying they only need to end this in one hit and that she'll be the one to do it. Oh boy, this does not sound good. Uka doesn't waste time and immediately transforms into a dragon, deliberately ignoring Tiamat's warning. The princess swiftly flies towards the Dahaka, wanting to end this battle once and for all. But this is just a foolish move on Uka's part. The Dahaka already has a spell ready to annihilate Uka's existence. The evil dragon didn't even have to recite an incantation. It managed to cast a spell without a chant. Everyone screams in panic as they watch the whole thing play. A loud crash booms the place, dusting the place where the Dahaka and Uka were. As it clears, Uka is surprisingly fine, but not her grandmother. Tiamat in dragon form now lies weak on the ground. A shaking Uka doesn't know how to react with the scene before her. The Dahaka praises Tiamat for caring for her friends, but it really doesn't have any use for the weak. Using its tail, the Dahaka flings Tiamat across the room. Flying towards her weak grandmother, Uka begs for Tiamat to stay with them. But Tiamat could only watch them. Her whole body is now in paralysis. She can't move nor speak. The Dahaka taunts them once more. It wants to fight the hero's party, but it seems this generation is too weak for his liking. The last hero was more bloodthirsty in putting up a fight. Screaming its lungs out, the Dahaka viciously commands Ryu and the others to fight him some more. This time, a real fun fight. Meanwhile, the Fenrir and Dragon families are still dealing with the Dahaka's underlings, but no matter how much snakes they squish and splatter, they just keep on spawning like there's an endless supply of them. Worry grows in Gramps' mind. It's been a while since they've been separated from the kids. They need to act fast so they can regroup with them already. Gramps just hopes Ryu and the others stay strong for just a little more. Ryu is still facing the three-headed Dahaka who's taunting Ryu to fight and entertain him some more. In the background, Tiamat is still not looking good. Uka urges her grandmother to stay with her, but Tiamat could only give Uka a weary look. This scene gets the Dahaka an evil idea. He prepares yet another magic spell, telling Ryu that maybe he'll unleash his true strength if the evil dragon offs someone he cares about. The Dahaka then unleashes his attack on Uka and Tiamat. The princess braces herself for impact, but it never came because Ryu and Ruri have managed to protect them. It seems that Tiamat's downfall has caused a shift inside of Uka. Ryu makes her realize the sole purpose why they're all there. The princess needs to hang in there and not lose hope. Uka has lost her confidence because she blames herself for what had happened to Tiamat. Ryu yells at the princess, telling her that everything she had worked for and everything Tiamat had done to train and protect her would be for nothing. Ryu then tells the princess that they're all worried about Tiamat. That's why they have to work together to defeat the evil dragon so they could finally save Tiamat. They can't do that without Uka. This sparks the fire inside Uka. Tiamat, worried for her granddaughter, tries to speak and tell Uka something. The princess reassures Tiamat that she's okay, and that she won't be doing anything reckless alone anymore. This time, Uka is determined to fight the Dahaka together with Ryu, Ruri, and Karen. Now the Dahaka is delighted to see such determined eyes from them. This is why it believes Ryu is worthy of the title hero, and is now an opponent worthy of fighting the evil dragon. It's now a battlefield of power and might. The Dahaka casts numerous magic spells once again while Ryu and the others do their best to defeat this evil dragon. While the Dahaka seems to be distracted, Karen uses her Garuda flame to try and burn the Dahaka. However, the Dahaka takes notice and knows full well of a Garuda's capabilities. With a snap of its fingers, the Dahaka casts another incantation. Karen poses a serious threat against this evil dragon, so it wants to take her out first. A magic circle then appears below Karen, and soon, a series of black appendages appear. It follows Karen's movements, desperately trying to capture the Garuda. One appendage is already so close and wrapping around Karen's foot. Luckily, Ruri uses her claws to slice it off. As the two girls make sure they're okay, the Dahaka is already planning on targeting Ruri. Uka and Ryu don't give it much time as they also head to launch an attack on the Dahaka. But the evil dragon manages to block them with another spell, flinging them back for such a futile effort. What could they possibly do to defeat this monster? Even if they want to save Tiamat, doing so is proving to be a problem because of Dahaka's magic. Their attacks just bounce off unless they're super strong, and even if they land, it might just provoke the evil dragon even more. Ryu knows the answer is just in here somewhere. He thinks back to the training with Tiamat and soon realizes he needs to find the Dahaka's weak spot. With determined eyes, Ryu tries to read the Dahaka's flow of magic by observing its movements. He finally finds the Dahaka's weak point, and it's literally the tail. Ryu somehow doubts if he's got it right, but with everyone giving their all in battling this evil dragon, it's worth the try. Finding some of Karen's fallen feathers, Ryu picks some up and quickly calls Ruri and Karen's attention. Using their familiar telepathy, Ryu tells them his plan, to which shocks the girls. Ruri is worried they'll fail, but Ryu reassures her if they do, he's the only human, so he's the only one that's mostly in danger. Ryu encourages them they can do this. And if something happens to him, Ryu knows both Ruri and Karen will be there to protect him. A warm smile forms on Ryu's face as he communicates this to the girls. He trusts them both, that's why Ryu wants to try his plan. Without a choice, Ruri and Karen agree to Ryu's plan, ready to give it their all. Just one more piece of the puzzle and they'll set their plan in motion. Ryu calls out Uka so he could tell her the plan. As they're talking, the Dahaka notices them and is smart enough to know that the hero party's scheming against it. It's really looking forward to what Ryu and the others have in store. Seeing that Ryu isn't planning on attacking the Dahaka anytime soon, it casts another spell in order to make the first attack. However, its incantation gets interrupted by Ruri, who's changing trajectories as we speak. The Dahaka calls Ruri a nimble little doe before casting another incantation to attack her mid-air. Before he could launch his attack, flames begin to envelop the evil dragon. The Dahaka realizes this is a decoy, but it also knows that these flames would also prohibit Ryu and the others from entering. The Dahaka smiles, thinking it's won this round again. Unfortunately for the evil dragon, Uka is able to penetrate Karen's flames and enter the surrounded area, which surprises the Dahaka. It doesn't know why the flames aren't engulfing Uka, especially that she's a low level compared to the Dahaka. What it doesn't know is that Uka carries Karen's feather, which Ryu gave her earlier. If you don't remember, Garuda's feathers were used to make Ryu's armor in Fall Crown. These babies proved to be heat resistant. The Dahaka's magic is strong, no doubt, but Ryu's plan is to make it lose its magic power so can't cast spells anymore. Meanwhile, the evil dragon calls Uka a fool for charging head-on. Casting yet another incantation, the Dahaka taunts Uka by telling her that it'll destroy the princess just as it did Tiamat. With brazen eyes, Uka throws the Dahaka's words back at it. The evil dragon's the fool here, especially that it's now missing its tail. While Uka distracted the Dahaka, Ruri was sneaking behind it to cut off its tail, the very source of its magic power. Now the Dahaka realizes Ryu's entire plan. They were really aiming for her tail all along. This makes the Dahaka laugh with joy. These people are the first ones to seal its magic. The Dahaka's tail starts emitting black energy and soon, black snakes spawn from it. The evil dragon then waves its hand, signaling them to attack Ryu and his companions. From here on out, it's a battle of true strength. You'd probably think this evil dragon would finally lose its confidence. Quite the contrary, it's now fueled with a desire to fight. As Ruri, Karen, and Uka go head-to-head with the Dahaka, Tiamat can only watch from afar. The evil dragon seems to be having so much fun from all this battle. It's truly what it has always wanted. Blood-pumping combat. It's quite strange for the Dahaka though. It's finally getting what it's always wanted, and yet it feels like something's missing. It soon snaps in its mind. Ryu is the missing piece. The Dahaka looks around, desperately asking where's Ryu. Suddenly the beast tamer makes himself known. Using his blazing sword, which is now infused with magic, Ryu lunges towards the Dahaka. All this time the others were distracting their enemy so Ryu could prepare for this one final blow. Finally, the Dahaka's wish is coming true. A smile is seen on the Dahaka's face as it watches Ryu's raging strength appear before him. A hero's true form. As Ryu's sword begins to touch the Dahaka's skin, everything crashes, like that of a grenade exploding. Ruri, Karen, and Uka brace themselves for impact. Soon the air clears and the three-headed evil Dahaka is now laying on the ground with blood pooling from it. Everyone stares at the Dahaka, especially Ryu, who's been holding onto his sword tightly. Did they actually win? The Dahaka's body remains unmoving, causing Ryu to turn to his friends to share their joyous victory. Everyone jumps in pure happiness. Uka even goes to Tiamat to relay the good news. Now they can finally help the Empress Dowager. However, Ryu notices the Dahaka's mouth moving. Its mouth forms a smile, praising Ryu for that impressive final strike. It was an attack signifying one's true strength. This is truly a noteworthy death for an evil dragon like the Dahaka. As a reward, the Dahaka tells Ryu it can give him anything he wants. A hero like him should benefit from the power and knowledge this ancient beast can offer. Ryu corrects its opinion of him. He didn't fight because he wanted to. This was a necessary action because the Dahaka was going to wreak havoc on the Dragon Kingdom, and possibly the world. The Beast Tamer then asked the Dahaka as to why it was so hell-bent on fighting against the hero party. On the verge of its death, the Dahaka spills the truth about it. It only wanted to fight strong opponents because it wanted to know how strong it truly was. Fortunately, the Dahaka's power attracts people, so it never lacked opponents. However, even if the Dahaka had the fighting power, normal people were no match for it at all. It soon realized that the only formidable foe is a hero. The heroes came to defeat the Dahaka, who became feared amongst the people. It was soon sealed in the cave, which made it crave fighting heroes even more. It just wanted an equal counterpart, someone who could recognize its strength and vice versa. As soon as the Dahaka tells Ryu about bearing the burden of having great power, something tugs Ryu's soul. Clenching his fist, Ryu realizes this dragon was alone like him. Like the Dahaka, Ryu was left out because of his non-combat skill. And even with so much magical energy, he still couldn't use all of it because it might kill him. The Dahaka notices Ryu's silence and quickly asks the Beast Tamer to decide on his reward. If not, it wants a swift death by Ryu's hands. Ryu has already decided on his reward though. A determined Ryu asks the Dahaka to become his friend, shocking the others, even the evil dragon. Ruri quickly interjects, refusing to believe the words coming out of Ryu's mouth. Even the Dahaka asks what Ryu means, confused by what the Beast Tamer's asking. Sincerity spreads throughout Ryu's words as he conveys how he understands the dragon's feelings. Even with so much power, the Dahaka still ended up alone, just like he was. Both Ruri and Karen are in a loss for words as they listen to Ryu's words. Stepping forward, Ryu tells the Dahaka it's already defeated. That much alone means they're equal counterparts. They can be friends. Ryu offers his hand to the Dahaka, smiling as he insists on being friends. Before the Dahaka can answer, Uka interferes and expresses her disapproval of the ordeal. Uka then recounts all the people the Dahaka has killed. It's even harmed Tiamat, her grandmother. Uka believes it's wrong to be friends with someone like that. And besides, if they were to forgive him, Uka doubts the Dahaka will behave. Trying to explain his reason, Ryu says the Dahaka only attacks those who attack him first, so it shouldn't just rampage without reason. Uka still isn't buying this. When Tiamat chimes, Uka's attention gets redirected and immediately runs to her grandmother for a hug. The spell on Tiamat has already been lifted since the Dahaka is defeated. Tiamat then expresses her understanding of the monster world being a survival of the fittest. Right now, whatever Ryu decides, they will respect it. Besides, Ryu is confident that they'll be able to defeat the Dahaka again if it breaks their deal and rampages. He knows they'll stop him again next time. He then asks Uka to trust him. The princess doesn't have to trust the Dahaka, but as a friend, Ryu asks Uka to believe in him instead. This has Uka thinking about all those times with Ryu, Ruri, and Karen. It doesn't take long for the princess to agree, telling Ryu that this is a one-time only thing, and that she hopes he doesn't regret it. After thanking Uka, Ryu goes back to the Dahaka. Laughing weakly, the Dahaka calls Ryu's wish strange. He's been labeled as a wicked dragon. Now Ryu is asking to be friends with it, but it does somehow accept Ryu's friendship, healing the wounds inside of Ryu. As the Dahaka says this, a ball of magic forms in its claws and gently transfers to Ryu's hands. This is the Dahaka's token of friendship. The magic ball soon moves inside Ryu's body. Confused, the beast tamer asks what the Dahaka just gave him. Apparently, it is a piece of the Dahaka's soul, now residing inside Ryu's body. After the Dahaka bids the beast tamer goodbye, Ryu's body completely freezes, causing him to black out and collapse to the ground. Inside Ryu's consciousness, he's laying on a lady's lap. As the mysterious woman strokes Ryu's cheek, the beast tamer wakes up and immediately asks where he is. The woman tells him he's inside his own consciousness. It then dawns on Ryu who this woman is. It's none other than Uru. Like that of a longtime friend, Ryu tells her it's been a while. He also asks Uru if she's okay being awake since she hasn't fully recovered yet. Uru reassures the beast tamer that she's okay. They rarely get to meet, so this much is fine. Without hesitation, Uru calls out Ryu's recklessness over the past days. The fight with the Dahaka and the training that transpired before that were all dangerous. Uru knows Ryu wants to get strong, but the woman asks Ryu not to make her worry. Staring at Uru, the beast tamer now realizes she helped him during training. With that realization, he assures Uru he'll be careful from now on. Uru isn't that hard to please at all and gives Ryu a warm smile, telling him she forgives him. Staring into Ryu's abysmal consciousness, the beast tamer mentions of the Dahaka's gift to him, the piece of the evil dragon's soul that's now inside him. Extending her arm, Uru shows the black egg afloat nearby. Upon closer look, Ryu is amazed with how pretty it looks. Uru then proceeds to convey how wicked dragons weren't really born wicked. The Dahaka only became evil after exposure to forbidden magic and research. Originally, they were just ordinary dragons that had potential to become powerful. Does Ryu empathize with the Dahaka? Or is because Ryu is just like Uru and couldn't bear killing the Dahaka? Forlorn, Ryu expresses how Uru's correct. But more importantly, he doesn't want to kill recklessly as well. This is a part of Ryu that Uru admires. Anyways, Uru takes the egg in her hands so they could both see what's growing inside. It's a baby dragon in soul form, healing its damaged body for now. This means the dragon will revive again, but if anything happens, Uru's there to take care of it. Uru then reminds Ryu that he'll have to leave soon. Now that he's here, might as well ask an important question he's been meaning to ask. When can Uru leave Ryu's body? To Ryu, it must be lonely living inside a space where Uru's all alone. When asked if it makes her feel lonely or sad, Uru tells the beast tamer she doesn't feel either way. With her hands to her chest, Uru sincerely shares how staying inside Ryu is both warm and comforting. The beast tamer doesn't need to worry about it, but Ryu doesn't seem convinced based on his despondent look. Hypothetically, will Uru be free if he becomes the Demon King? Ryu's question shocks Uru, who honestly tells the beast tamer that it is possible. However, Uru doesn't want Ryu to become the Demon King. They're monster-like beasts that are too dangerous to meddle with. Before Ryu can ask or say anything else, Uru uses her magic to transport Ryu back to reality. They'll both talk again soon. For now, it's time for Ryu to wake up. Everyone is beyond happy to see Ryu finally wake up. After Ryu collapsed, the Fenrir and dragon families were finally reunited and headed back to the castle to take care of Ryu. Holding his head, Ryu thanks everyone. He's had a lot of time to rest. Tiamat then urges everyone to leave so Ryu can rest some more. Ruri also tells Ryu to call them if he doesn't feel any good. Now alone in his room, Ryu's smile disappears as he thinks about his conversation with Uru. He realizes there must be something wrong with him becoming the Demon King. Otherwise, why would Uru suddenly cut off their conversation? Meanwhile, Uru knows she'll be free if Ryu becomes the Demon King, but those with too much power always end up lonely. Even the friends Ryu made might turn on him. Will the beast tamer be able to bear that burden? Let's skip the serious stuff for now and enjoy the joys of victory. The streets are buzzing with festive music and dancing. The dragon people are drinking their hearts out, celebrating the defeat of the Dahaka. Ryu can even hear the townspeople chant their praises for the Dragon King from inside the castle premises. Ever since the victory, Ryu has become quite popular, making it harder for him to go into town. Sometime after, the Dragon King and Queen call on Ryu, Ruri, and Karen in the throne room to thank them for their invaluable efforts that led them to defeating the Dahaka. The Dragon King then asks Ryu if there's anything he wants as a reward, which the beast tamer quickly turns down. But the Dragon King insists on it. If they won't be able to give Ryu his reward, it would reflect poorly on the nation's honor. So, Ryu thinks hard on it. It's not like he fought because he wanted something in return, but if it's a matter of the Dragon Kingdom's pride, then he'll accept the offer. Running out of ideas, Ryu asks the king on the typical prizes others have asked them before. Typically, they would ask for treasures or some form of privilege like a magic gem, then boost power or the privilege to live in the royal castle. Ryu doesn't really need or want any of that, so this is a lot harder than expected. Tiamat chimes in to suggest herself as Ryu's reward, shocking the whole gang. Ruri, Karen, and Uka are all confused with Tiamat's suggestion. Does this mean Ryu's getting married? I don't think Uka will be happy to have such a young step-granddad. An awkward laugh escapes Ryu's mouth, telling everyone the Dragon King wouldn't approve of such thing. But the shocker is that the Dragon King and Queen is aboard this offer. Now Ryu feels pressured, especially with the girls surrounding him like he's some kind of criminal. The Dragon Lord continues on, telling Ryu that the Empress Dowager would make a fine match for him. Ryu can't even reply properly. With all this pressure, the Beast Tamer desperately asks Tiamat to correct her words. Giggling, Tiamat is dead serious. The Dragon Lord can't seem to understand why Ryu looks so against this whole idea too. As Ryu's frustration doubles, the Dragon King tells him that Tiamat's claw would make an excellent weapon for the Beast Tamer. This catches Ryu's attention. Dragon claws can be forged into swords and their scales make good armor too. It would further enhance Ryu's current equipment. Or maybe there's something else that Ryu wants, asks the Dragon King. Ryu quickly agrees to the Dragon King's offer. He's also feeling rather exasperated because of Tiamat's joke. The Empress Dowager in turn is having a hard time keeping herself from laughing out loud. The Dragon Lord then announces the claw as their reward for Ryu's heroism. They'll need time to prepare it, so until then they'll just sit back and relax. But Ryu has other plans and dedicates his free time to training. Ruri and Karen both watch the Beast Tamer pour his heart out in mastering his sword. Worried, Ruri asks if he won't rest a bit. They'll be going on a journey after this, so now's the time to take it easy. But Ryu wants to keep moving. Otherwise, he might get rusty. Besides, Ryu is also thinking about the Dahaka healing itself inside him. If it ever revives and goes wild again, Ryu needs to make sure he can really defeat the Dahaka again, or else he won't be able to face Uka. Aside from the obvious reason on getting stronger to catch up with his hero friends, this is also another important reason for his training. Arriving with a towel and some water, Uka adds in on the current conversation and tells everyone how she wants to become stronger too. She's there to bring Ryu the items she has at the instructions of Tiamat. Ryu immediately wipes his face with the towel. Noticing Uka's stare, Ryu asks if something's wrong, to which the princess denies. Changing the subject, Uka asks about Ryu's plan after receiving his reward. The Beast Tamer does answer her honestly, detailing how he plans to chase after his childhood friends and travel with them. With the head bowed down, Uka slowly asks Ryu if it's possible to take her with them. Ryu doesn't know how to reply to her request. His main problem here is the Dragon King. However, Uka immediately explains how it's all fine because her father already knows it's about time to let Uka see the world. The princess hasn't asked permission yet, but she's so sure the king will approve if he knows she'll go with Ryu. Ryu stares at the girl in front of him. The princess has asked him before about traveling and seems so excited to know what it was like. He remembers how it was always so frustrating to be the princess and a child at the same time. Uka never got the freedom to leave the country. While Ryu stays silent, Karen excitingly expresses how she loves the idea of Uka going with them. Ruri, on the other hand, is worried if it's okay for them to take a princess from her own country. Ah, the burden of being a royal. Although Ryu doesn't agree nor disagree, he tells Uka it's not something they can decide for the princess. Uka looks disappointed, but Ryu pats her head, gently assuring her that they have her back on this. As long as the Dragon family approves, Ryu, Ruri, and Karen would gladly have Uka go with them. So for now, they needed to talk to the royal family to discuss this. This refuels Uka's hope in finally doing what she's always loved to do, traveling. She wastes no time and tells everyone she'll go talk to her family at once. Conveniently, an attendant arrives to tell them that the Dragon King is asking for an audience. When they arrive at the throne room, the Dragon King and Queen unveil the reward they've prepared for Ryu and the others. 5 huge dragon claws lay in front of Ryu. The Beast Tamer is utterly surprised with the size and number of dragon claws presented for him. According to the Dragon King, the claws varies depending on the dragon species, so he prepared several options for Ryu. There's an earth dragon's claw that's heavy and tough, a water dragon's is flexible and beautiful, and a wind dragon's is light and sharp. There are also claws from rare unique types of dragons. Ryu tries picking up some of the claws, catching the feels of them. They all stand out, so this is going to be hard. Amidst the decision-making, a claw catches Ryu's eye. He immediately picks it up, instantly liking the size and weight of it. Somehow this claw reminds him of the elder Fenrir's fang, just the right size to fit his hand oh so nicely. The Dragon Lord smiles at Ryu's choice. The claw is actually Tiamat's. It's very impressive for Tiamat's disciple to have liked a part of her. This also gives the Dragon Lord a brilliant idea. He suggests Ryu and the others take Tiamat with them on their next journey. Ruri, Karen, and especially Uka are surprised with the Dragon Lord's suggestion. The Dragon Lord did notice Tiamat's glowing aura when she was training Ryu before. This has Tiamat awkwardly coughing, telling everyone she has a duty to raise Uka into a fine lady, so she must decline such offer. Uka stands in the corner quietly, as if waiting for the perfect moment to voice out her own objective. She then notices Ryu staring at her. When the beast tamer gives her an encouraging smile, that's when Uka finally calls the attention of her father and grandmother. Determined, Uka asks to go with Ryu in place of Tiamat. She then details out in a heartfelt message how Uka has always been thinking about wanting to see the world with her own eyes, and feeling it with her own feet. Even if she's the princess, she won't just give up on her dreams so easily. So here's Uka, bowing and begging for permission to go on this journey with Ryu and the others. The guards all look worried. Uka is the princess and she's still a child. They all think it's too dangerous for her. The smile on the Dragon Lord's face fades and is replaced with reluctance. He understands how his daughter feels, but he thinks it's too soon to venture out on a journey. He pleads to wait for a few more years before Uka can do so. Tiamat intervenes in the father-daughter conversation, telling the Dragon Lord how Uka bravely faced the Dahaka and returned home safely. That alone warranties the princess is more than capable. And if the Dragon Lord's rebuttal is that it was only because of Ryu's power, then the more it guarantees Uka's safety if she's traveling with the beast tamer. To Uka's surprise, Tiamat is allowing her to go with Ryu. Gazing towards Ryu, Tiamat also reminds him that whoever goes with Uka should also bear the responsibility of the princess's safety. If anything were to happen to the princess, then Ryu, the acting guardian, must be ready to face the consequences if things were to turn into an international incident. Tiamat's eyes are as dead serious as her words, asking Ryu if he's ready for such responsibility. Uka quickly cuts in, defending the beast tamer. Ryu doesn't need to carry such responsibility because Uka believes she can protect herself. Tiamat uses this opportunity to mention Uka's recklessness during the Battle of the Dahaka, wherein she acted on her own. Then she tells Ryu that Uka isn't allowed to travel if there's no one to protect her. Ryu goes silent as if thinking of his next words. A sincere Ryu relays how it's too much to ask that of him. If anything were to happen on their journey, he can't guarantee that Uka won't get hurt, but he will do everything to protect her, no matter what. Not because she's the princess, but because Uka is their friend. At this point, Ruri and Karen also pleads to let Uka go with them. The deadpan look on Tiamat's face soon turns into a smiling one as she highlights the word friend that Ryu used to call the royal princess. Now Ryu's trying to explain he didn't really mean to disrespect the royal family. Upon much thought, the Dragon Lord allows Uka to go on this journey with Ryu and the others. He can't really say no as well. Denying Ryu will be like denying everything he's also accomplished for the kingdom. Uka is overjoyed by her father's decision that she can't help throw her hands in the air. She then double high-fives Ryu, thanking the beast tamer for congratulating her on this successful deal out. However, there is a condition to all of this. Tiamat will be joining them too. This doesn't bode well with Uka, complaining why her grandmother has now decided to come with them. On the contrary, Tiamat never really said anything about Uka going alone. Besides, if Uka causes trouble in another country, it could spark a war. That's not a burden Tiamat is willing to hand over to Ryu alone. Ruri and Karen are both happy Tiamat is going with them. This is also reassuring for them since Uka is of royal blood. It now feels like there's a swaying imbalance between going on the journey and being under surveillance by Tiamat. Uka doesn't have a choice but to begrudgingly accept her fate with Tiamat chaperoning her. Now, down to serious business, the Dragon Lord actually has a favor to ask of Ryu. He wants the beast tamer to go to the elf village. The elves and spirits live together in this village. According to the Dragon Lord, a messenger from the Spirit King to ask Ryu's help with a certain issue. When Ryu asks about how the Spirit King came to know of a human like him, the Dragon Lord tells him how word travels fast, especially that Ryu had defeated the Dahaka. The elves and spirits are after Ryu's strength, and the request? They want Ryu to capture the poachers who are hunting spirits and demi-humans. Apparently these poachers are capturing spirits to extract their power, and they're selling elves as slaves. The elves and spirits can't really intervene directly in human territory. That's why they're asking for Ryu's help. In Ryu's mind, this is a desperate call for help. To think these beings are asking for a human's help to alleviate a problem caused by humans. He does want to help, but he's also thinking about his friend's opinion. Ruri seems to know what the beast tamer's thinking about and reassures him he can do whatever he wants. They all feel the same and want to help the elves and spirits. And according to Uka, this is also the fun part of traveling. The mystery of the unknown. Ryu finally smiles and conveys his agreement on going to the elf village. It might not be an easy task having to fight his own kind, but Ryu will do his best. The Dragon Lord then tells Ryu that the village elder will be speaking in behalf of the Spirit King. As for the location of the village, they'll be traveling to the south side of the Great Forest. Before leaving, the Dragon King and Queen tells Uka to have a wonderful journey and to take care. This has the princess brimming with joy. Her parents are finally supporting her dream of traveling outside the dragon country. Off to the elf village they go. In the south of the Great Forest, the gang are hiking their way to the elf village. The roots of the giant trees are making it hard for them to walk, but it's only the center part of the Great Forest. Once they get closer to the village, it should be much easier for them to walk since it's well maintained. This has Ryu sighing in relief. It's honestly going to be tough if it's like that all the time. Glancing on his back, Uka is in a far worse shape than Ryu. The princess has been panting and struggling from all the walking they've done. Before anyone can comment though, Uka tries to reassure them that she can handle all of this. Even with trembling legs, Uka is being pushed to keep on going by Tiamat. Apparently, this also serves as training for the princess. Anyways, this is Ryu's first time going out to the southern part of the Great Forest. It's not really a shocker since most people don't venture out in this part of the Great Forest. Tiamat then shares that high-ranking spirits usually set up barriers around the area. Now Ruri is concerned they might not get to enter the elf village because of the said barrier. However, they're reassured that guard spirits are usually on patrol around the village. All they need to do is mention Ryu's name and they'll probably let them in. Ryu then notices a spirit floating close to him. Both him and Karen are awestruck. It's their first time seeing such beings. Are they here to greet Ryu and the others? Before Ryu can start a conversation with the spirit, it flies away and points out to an area of the forest. It's telling Ryu and the others to follow it. Although confused, everyone still goes to follow the spirit even though they're highly likely deviating from their tracks. Suddenly, Ryu hears a human voice. But before he can find out where it's coming from, spider monsters begin jumping out from the trees. These are insect-type monsters called Konchugata. It's a huge swarm that it has Ryu wondering why. Karen immediately calls his attention, pointing out the some people getting attacked by the spiders. They don't know what's rally going on, but they can't just leave these people behind. Before a man gets eaten by a spider, Ryu rushes in to plunge his sword directly on the spider's head. The others follow suit, attacking all the remaining spiders. Once the coast is clear, Ryu makes sure that his companions are okay. Aside from the unconscious people with minor injuries, they're all good. The spirit from earlier then comes out of hiding, flying towards Ryu. The beast tamer immediately thanks the spirit for leading them there. Out of nowhere, Ryu and Ruri hear someone calling out for help. It was coming from a carriage that had toppled over. Inside it were elves imprisoned by the humans Ryu and the others just helped. They quickly free the elves, who in turn thanks Ryu for helping them get out. As the elves bow down to Ryu, the beast tamer tells them they're actually there to help them at the request of the Spirit King. Ryu then shares about the spirit that led them to the elves' location. Upon seeing the spirit, the elf looked a bit puzzled and stares at it for a while. It then gestures a shh sign, smiling in the process. The poachers soon begin waking up, instantly remembering being attacked by spiders. Before Ryu can even talk to them, the three men dashes straight out of the forest. They don't care about elves anymore. They just want to stay alive. Finding some things the poachers left behind, Ryu picks them up and sees that it has an emblem on them. It's not something Tiamat recognizes either. Emblems are made to identify allies, and if those poachers have one, then this might be a bigger organization than they anticipated. Tiamat suspects some criminal guild or nobles are involved in this elven trafficking, but they can't just guess their way on this one, especially if it's really true that nobles are involved. For now, they need information. They need to get to the village quickly and talk to the elf elder. Since it's still pretty dangerous out here, the elves must be protected by Ryu and the others. While walking, Ryu feels sullen thinking about humans like him doing this to another species. Right now, there are 4 women and 2 children they've managed to rescue. Imagine that. Women and children being kidnapped and exploited. They need to catch the main source of this poacher problem so the elves and spirits can feel safe again. The elf girl then tells everyone they're almost there. All they need to do is get through these bushes and voila, they're in elf village. Ryu then thanks the spirit before it flies away somewhere. As they're walking in the village, an elf calls out the elf girl's name, Ellen. Her grandfather immediately hugs her, expressing how worried he was when Ellen got kidnapped. Introducing Ryu as her savior, the elf bows to thanks the beast tamer for saving his granddaughter's life. When Ellen tells him that Ryu and the others are actually there because of the Spirit King, the elf immediately know who Ryu is. Ellen's grandfather is actually the village elder Al-Ray Sauron. Ryu is surprised to learn that this elf is the elder. He doesn't look a day older than 30 to Ryu. It seemed that elves don't seem to age at all. Al-Ray Sauron then leads everyone to a room full of other elves who are seated circling a big table. The elder then introduces Ryu to them before starting the discussion about the rescue operation they're going to plan out for their other captured friends. Now that an operation is being laid out, this only means the situation has indeed become worse. The elves have indeed tracked the poachers. They've been selling captives to the Elk Principality's slave traders. Now that they know who their enemy is, the elves have planned this operation. They're going to infiltrate the slave traders and nobles' mansions who bought the elves and spirits, rescue their captured friends, and rebel against all involved in the poaching scheme. And that's it, speechless. And it's not even the good kind of speechless. This plan of theirs is way too simple. Both Ryu and Ruri are having doubts on the elves' plan, while Karen and Uka seem to just agree with it. Both Karen and Uka are ready to join the elves in their rescue operation, causing Ryu to stop them with his hands on their shoulders. The beast tamer thinks this plan is a bit reckless. For one, they don't even know where the abducted elves are. Two, they haven't directly checked inside the slave traders yet. And lastly, if they pick a fight with the nobles recklessly, they might retaliate against them. One of the elves share that the elves they've sent for recon haven't really left Elk Principality yet. This just brews a more complicated problem itself. When Ryu asks to plan this rescue operation more carefully, the elder slams his fist on the table and says they don't have much time left. Clearly, he's frustrated with all of this. All their comrades are losing their dignity, suffering from the hands of poachers who care less of them. With trembling hands, the elder cries his anxiousness for his comrades. They must also feel anxious and unsure if help will come for them. They just can't keep them waiting. Not when their hope is on the brinks of collapsing. Seeing the elder cry, it dawns upon Ryu that these people aren't really being reckless or careless. They just care about their comrades too much, that's why they're rushing. All these people want to do is save the elves and spirits that's been kidnapped. This time Ryu explains why they really need to be careful. If they rush and find no one to rescue, it'll be wasted effort and an even more complicated problem could arise from that. That's the last thing they want, especially that the victims are waiting to be rescued. When the elder asks on how they'll manage this, Ryu confidently asks they leave it to him. Ryu, a human, will infiltrate the slave traders as a customer. This is the new plan. Ryu will get close to the merchants and extract information about the captives. If needed, he'll willingly buy them back to play the part. It all sounds absurdly dangerous, in fact it is. Even Uka has doubts about Ryu's plan. Do they even have enough money to buy back many elves? Not a problem at all. If they don't have enough, they'll simply make it. Ryu explains how hunting large monsters in the Great Forest yields a very hefty amount of money. Remember at Fall Crown? One piece of a giant boar's skin sells for about 60 gold coins. They just need to hunt some monsters in this part of the forest. Speaking of, Ryu then asks the elder if there has been any troublesome monsters nearby recently. Good timing, actually. The elf village has been having problems with the conchugata. These poisonous spiders have been living and breeding in the Great Forest. It's causing to be a problem in the village. But not for Ryu and the others. As Tiamat says, they've already encountered those spiders earlier. This should be as easy as pie. At Ryu's enthusiastic encouragement, everyone is all in rescuing the elves and spirits. Meanwhile, the spirit that helped Ryu earlier has returned to its home. Another spirit greets him worriedly. The spirit has been uneasy all this time. Apparently, they've been looking all over the place for Ryu's spirit friend. As it changing its clothes, Ryu's spirit friend apologizes and explains he went out to check on the rumored human that defeated the Dahaka. Sighing, the other spirit is troubled with the recklessness but then asks how the meeting with Ryu went. Ryu's spirit friend finally finished dressing up, unveiling himself as the Spirit King. He assures his attendant that Ryu seems okay and believes they will save the village. The Spirit King is counting on the beast tamer, calling him a kind-hearted and brave human. There was once a time the Spirit King had made a friend with a human. The human convinced the Spirit King about building an ideal utopia where humans and spirits coexist. The man tells the Spirit King about the recent situation. Right now, humans borrow power from spirits through contracts. But this man believes it'd be good if someday human could lend power to spirits too. The Spirit King thinks this is inconvenient for the humans. But the man says that's exactly why he wants an equal arrangement between both species. Humans are starting to forget the respect and gratitude they once had for the spirits. Some even treat them like slaves now. That's what they're going to change. The Spirit King looks forlorn thinking about it as he continues writing a letter. No matter what, the Spirit King still believes it'll happen someday. Back at the elf village, Ryu has successfully hoarded a pile of dead conchugata. This should be enough for the money they need. An elf approaches the pile of spiders, asking why humans even bother buying spiders like these. While Ryu stores the spiders in his magic storage, he explains they're useful in all kinds of ways. The thread is used for clothes and the venom's useful for adventurers. Ryu then calls everyone so they can head to the Elk Principality at once. Before that, the elder approaches the beast tamer to express their trust on Ryu saving their people. The elder then reveals that his daughter is actually one of the kidnapped victims. There are those who have lost their parents and siblings, making them orphans. As all the elves bow down to Ryu, the elder shares that everyone in this village is like precious family to each other. So all they ask for is for their family to be saved. Ryu gives them his unwavering promise on making this rescue operation a successful one. Before they leave, the elder takes out a letter from his pocket and hands it to Ryu. The Spirit King had asked the elder to deliver it to the king of the Elk Duchy. Now he asks Ryu to deliver it to the Elk King. No matter what happens, it must reach the king at once. Ryu isn't sure he'll be able to meet the Elk King, but he'll hold on to the letter for now. As Ryu and the others bid them goodbye, the elves pray and hope that the Spirit King's protection be with them. While hiking down the trail, one of the girls asks Ryu about the Elk Duchy. Ryu doesn't really know a lot of the place too, but he thinks it's not a big country, especially that they don't require an ID card upon entering. But Tiamat says that it's still a nation under the protection of spirits, even if it's a small nation. All of this and they're still kidnapping elves and spirits. Whew! Even so, they can't shake off the possibility that someone might be scheming something behind the scenes. For now, their goal is to gather information. In order to sell the spiders they've gathered, they'll head to the guild. Maybe they'll be able to ask around for some intel too. Inside the town, it all seems pretty ordinary, like everything you expect of a quiet and peaceful town. This picturesque town does feel off, like it's too perfect that it mostly seems lifeless. At the guild, Ryu immediately takes out the spiders and presents them to the cashier. All eyes are on Ryu as he gets a serious amount of gold for the spiders he has traded in. He then gets the money and tells everyone they'll go and start asking around now. Suddenly, they're interrupted by a man calling out Ryu's name. It's none other than Mark, the merchant he and Ruri met at Fall Crown. Apparently, Mark had heard someone was selling rare materials, so he came to check it out. He's not at all surprised to see it's Ryu. Is it me or this dude seems suspicious? Curious, Uka asks Ryu how they know each other. The Beast Tamer then shares his exchange with Mark at Fall Crown. Anyways, Mark didn't really expect to run into Ryu here as well, especially at a rough time like this. When Ryu asks about it, Mark divulges about a rumor running around town. The Elk King has fallen ill. In this country, only those who formed a contract with the Spirit King can become king. But as of the moment, not even the Elk Prince can succeed the throne, so the whole nation's drowning in anxiety. This just means that the Spirit King and the king of this country know each other. The question in Ryu's mind right now, if the letter he's holding onto contains information about the next heir. Mark brings Ryu back from his thoughts and asks what Ryu's doing in Elk Duchy. The Beast Tamer wasn't really expecting to run into someone who knows him, and he can't just spill the tea about spirits and elves being kidnapped. Ryu lets out a nervous and awkward laugh before telling Mark about a request he got from a village asking him to help save people taken by Elk Duchy. Mark is amazed upon knowing this. Ryu further tells the merchant about the possible slavery happening, so they're there to gather information. Ryu doesn't let this opportunity pass and asks Mark if he knows anything about it. Slowly nodding, Mark shares about an underground guild called Black Fang Wolves that deals in poaching and worse. There's also one slave dealer linked to that guild. Mark also happens to know this slave dealer. Hope brims on Ryu's face. Mark is more than willing to help them, but with the way Ryu and the girls are dressed, it'll be tough to get in. Apparently, slave dealers only deal with people who look like they have money. If they were to dress like nobles, they might get these dealers to talk. Mark then suggests to show the Beast Tamer where to get those sorts of clothing plus the whereabouts of the slave dealer. Meanwhile, outside the guild, a storage jar's lid opens and a muffled voice comes out of it, signifying it contains not just food or things. After Mark helps Ryu and the others with the clothes, he bids the group farewell. Everyone is uncomfortable with their new set of clothes. It's proving to be quite hard to move in them. They don't have a lot of time to get used to these new clothes, especially that Tiamat rounds them up for a quick reminder before they head out. The group will pose as a noble family to infiltrate the slave dealers. Careful should be their middle name. Boom! What a lovely family they have. Obviously, Ryu will act as the father. Tiamat will be the mother. Both Karen and Uka will pose as their daughters. As for Ruri, well, she'll act as the family dog, to which she vehemently objects to. Ryu calmly explains to Ruri how it can't be helped. Unlike Karen, whose wings can be hidden beneath clothing, Ruri's ears and tail can't. Having dog-like ears alone would look way too unnatural. Ruri has no choice but to accept her fate. Now that settles, off they go to the slave dealer. They soon arrive at the dealer's mansion. Greeted by a smiling man, Ryu tells him that they heard about him from Mark. This doesn't cause any suspicions at all, but the opposite. The dealer seems to know Mark. The dealer then asks Ryu on what kind of slave he's looking for, especially that it's his first time purchasing. This wasn't in Ryu's script at all. Luckily for him, Tiamat is quick to answer for Ryu. Tiamat plays the role of a happy wife, telling Ryu she wants a slave for housework. Someone good looking for display, like for decoration. The dealer then leads them inside the premises, saying it's best to see the slaves up close so they can decide on their own. Inside, Ryu's family is led downstairs where they keep all the slaves. He then asks the dealer what kind he has in store, to which the dealer says they have various kinds. He has people sold because of debts, former adventurer dwarves, and of course some top quality ones that the dealer is sure Ryu will like. Upon hearing all of this, Uka can't help let a snide comment slip. She calls this disgusting. Quickly turning to her, Ryu signals her to keep quiet. It's a good thing it wasn't loud enough for the dealer to hear, though. The dealer then continues listing out the slaves for sale. He has demi-humans who are mostly beastmen. Noticing Ryu's interest, the dealer suggests to show him around first. When the dealer asks Ryu's preference for demi-humans, the beast tamer also answers back with a question on the availability of elves. The dealer's smile soon fades, stopping on his tracks. Both Ryu and Tiamat are now worried that they've been caught in their act. But the dealer regretfully tells the family they don't elves in the premises. Apparently, elves are very rare and hardly show up in the market and only in auctions. This means other slave dealers don't have them either. Auctions make more money than just selling the elves off. It does make sense to Ryu. The best way is spot-on cash, but auctions are a different story. Nobles attend auctions, so Ryu will never know how much money he actually needs. There's also no guarantee elves will even be up for auction. The least they can do now is find out where the spirits and elves are being kept. Ryu further asks the dealer where this auction is being held. However, the dealer apologizes once more because he's not allowed to disclose information like that for no regular customers. After taking out the bag of gold coins from his pocket, Ryu asks the dealer to tell them everything he knows about the elven slaves. The dealer of course takes the money, handing out the list of next auction's items. While Ryu scans through the pages, the dealer fidgets as he asks Ryu to keep this strictly confidential between them. As Ryu flips from one page to another, he notices there are a lot of women and children. According to the dealer, the Underground Guild has been bringing in a lot of them lately, especially elves of top quality. Elves are considered to be the talk of the slave industry. In Ryu's mind, they'll need to be extra careful now that they know there's quite a lot of them they need to save. One particular page catches Ryu's eye. It's a photo of an elf named Wilros Ray Soren. This must be the Elder's daughter. The dealer praises Ryu for having an impressively sharp eye. According to him, Wilros is the star item at the auction, which will take place in 3 days. There's no doubt this is the Elder's daughter. They have the same family name. In hushed tones, Tiamat tells Ryu they won't have much time before the auction. This means they'll have to move the rescue operation ASAP. Ryu gives his praise upon seeing the prized item amongst the roster of slaves for the auction. He then asks the dealer why they have so many elves when the dealer just mentioned a while ago that they're supposed to be rare. The dealer awkwardly laughs at first and is ready to say no, but when Ryu presents him yet another bag of gold coins, the dealer's face turns into delight. Earlier, the dealer had said that the Underground Guild brings a lot of elves, but actually the elves are just a bonus. The real target is the spirits. Now Ryu is truly confused. Not acting confused, really confused. When the Elk King got sick, some powerful people took advantage of that and started hunting spirits to become the next king. They call this the spirit hunt. Elves often live close to spirits, so they just get caught in the process too. Ryu remembers the outburst the elder made during their meeting. Right now, elves and spirits are being hurt, their hearts breaking and their faith shaking. Meanwhile, people like this dealer are just treating them like disposable things because it suits their convenience. Ryu can't hide his anger right now. Even Karen and Uka can tell. I mean, who can't when his face screams bloody murder? When the dealer notices this, he asks Ryu if something's wrong, to which the beast tamer denies. Ryu then tries asking once more about the powerful people scheming this trafficking ring. But now, the dealer really says no. Info like that can affect their credibility as sellers. Ryu doesn't push any further and thanks the dealer for the information he's given them. Ryu then tells the dealer they'll leave for now and will be back another time to buy some slaves. As soon as they exit the mansion, they all discuss what they just learned. Ruri sullenly expresses her disbelief that elves are being kidnapped just for money. All the girls feel rather awful about this situation. Noticing Ryu's quietness, Ruri asks if he's okay. He is, but he can't help think about having to save both spirits and elves no matter what. He's disappointed with his own kind for the mistreatment of other species. To Ryu, humans shouldn't neglect other races just because it's convenient for them. The girls, of course, agree with Ryu. The information they got from the dealer isn't enough. They need more information, especially about where the elves are being held captive. And the most important part, the mastermind behind the spirit hunt. Tiamat then chimes in, telling everyone they need to change their clothes since they're drawing in more attention than necessary. Once they finish changing clothes, they head to the back alley to hide their disguises. Coincidentally, Ryu chooses the same container jar from earlier's talk with Mark. Upon opening the jar, Ryu is surprised to see an elf hiding inside it. Could this be one of the recon team the elder mentioned at the meeting? Ryu is surprised to see someone smiling back at him. Without replying at the kid's hello, Ryu puts the lid back on the jar. The kid immediately jumps out of the jar, furious as to why Ryu would just ignore her like that. Ryu awkwardly apologizes as he wasn't expecting a homeless kid to be inside. Stepping foot on the ground and hands on her hips, the kid tells the beast tamer she's neither homeless nor a kid. This here is Alice, who just turned 19 this year. She's part of the intelligence division of the Land of the Light. Ryu is taken aback with Alice's age. She doesn't look 19 at all. In fact, she doesn't even look a day older than 12. But Ryu realizes something with Alice's words. She just said she's from the Land of the Light, which happens to be Ryu's homeland too. According to Tiamat's knowledge, the Land of the Light is a rare country ruled by the church, hence why even job aptitudes are determined by the church. It also happens to be the biggest organization in the whole country. Alice confirms all these, even adding how she's actually working for the hero herself. With the mention of hero, Ryu instantly thinks of Tia. The captain of the intelligence division where Alice works at is actually part of the hero's party, just that Alice's team is a separate unit. Now that Alice knows Ryu hails from the same country as her, she casually chimes in asking for Ryu's help in eradicating the illegal slave trading and the overhunting of spirits in this country. But that's exactly the same goal as Ryu and friends. Mind-blowing. As to why Alice would want Ryu's help? From what she's gathered, Ryu came to rescue kidnapped victims from the elf village. She also saw the group sneak into one of the slave traders' mansion in disguise, hence why she'd like Ryu to share information about what they saw or heard. Ryu is taken aback. He is of course interested in the slave liberation propaganda. But could they really trust Alice? Ryu has no choice but to trust Alice, especially that she claims she knows Tia. But why is Alice asking for Ryu's help though? Isn't she supposed to be with the intelligence division? Why is she not able to investigate the slavers herself? Bombarded with Ryu's questions has Alice shrinking. It's not that she couldn't. Alice has been stuck with surveillance and wiretapping. She's not really trained in talking. Props to Alice though. She did try to infiltrate the same slavers Ryu went into. Unfortunately, she got turned away at the gate. She's not proud of it, but there's nothing Alice could do about it, especially the overhunting of spirits. This has Alice dismayed. Can you imagine? Humans can use fire and water magic thanks to the mana produced by spirits. Because of the pact made by the Spirit King and humans, they're allowed to benefit from this gift. If the spirits use this opportunity to sever ties with humans, they'll lose all blessings and won't be able to fight off monsters anymore. Ryu now realizes if this really happens, even Tia and her group would be in danger. Deep in thought, Ryu is suddenly ambushed with a hug from Alice, who's begging for Ryu's help. Any information would be enough for them. Alice cries out saying she can't bear facing her captain or the hero if she doesn't succeed. With Alice's incessant begging, Ryu utters an immediate yes to her request. This has Ruri whispering to the beast tamer, asking if it's really okay to help them when Tia hates monsters. Taking this into consideration, Ryu thinks of a way to have both ends meet. While it's true that it's dangerous for them to be this close to the hero, they also need more information about the slavers. So Ryu suggests they work with the intelligence division. Since it's a separate unit, they won't have trouble keeping tracks of the hero's movements and avoid running into her. Aside from Tis being a safer approach, they'll also have access to info they don't have. Everyone agrees with Ryu's plan, and the beast tamer instantly informs Alice of their decision. After Alice agrees to swapping information between them, Sei gladly tells Ryu she'll inform her comrades. Clicking on her earpiece, Alice starts tuning in as well as replying back to the person on the line. Everyone eyes Alice with curious eyes. It doesn't take long for Karen to ask about Alice's communication device. Answering back in their telepathic communication, Ryu tells the Garuda that it must be some kind of magic device like how their telepathy works. Just this one's for humans. Alice clicks her earpiece once more before telling everyone that they've got permission to proceed to the room the division has booked at the inn. Alice joyfully takes the lead, but after stepping onto her cape, Ryu can't imagine this kid's really a part of the country's intelligence division at all. They finally arrive at the inn, and Alice, who's sporting a bruise on her forehead, hurriedly greets her superior. Before introducing himself, he thanks everyone for looking after Alice. He then cheerfully tells everyone his name. This is Bill. Since their captain is MIA for now, he's left in charge of the squad. In turn, Ryu introduces himself and the others to Bill. After their pleasantries, they all agree to get down to business. After all, time's a-ticking. When asked if he knows about the country's current state, Ryu immediately confirms everything they know. From the fact that only the person who can make a pact with the Spirit King becomes the new Elk King, down to the current king's condition. Scratching his head, Bill divulges how they suspect it's no ordinary illness. It's actually highly likely that the king is weakened because he's been poisoned. Gasps are heard from Ryu's side. They can't believe someone would do such a horrible thing to the king. Bill reminds Ryu on who gets to be king and how it's done. Piecing everything together, Ryu's eyes grow wide. Yes, this is the doing of someone who wants the throne to himself. Right now, members of the intelligence division have infiltrated the castle, and according to their report, the ringleader is the minister of this country, Lord Raider. He's currently acting as the king's proxy on the surface. However, Lord Raider has been approaching other nobles and telling them he'll grant them positions and custody of spirits if he becomes king. At this point, he's basically gathering allies by having them turn sides. A worried Karen then chimes in, voicing out a question on what will happen to the spirits if Lord Raider succeeds. Heaven forbid this happens, but these spirits will likely be forced into contracts and be exploited. Adding in, Alice shares how spirits only thrive in pure environments. If forced into harsh conditions, they'll eventually weaken, then gradually disappear like they never existed in the first place. If Ryu was worried before, now he's alarmed. Wasn't there anyone who opposed Lord Raider? How about the knights serving the king? Props to Ryu for asking all the right questions. Anyways, Bill shakes his head as he tells them no. It's soon revealed by Alice that anyone who opposed Lord Raider were either dismissed or were personally dealt with. Because of this, the castle is now run by nobles who have sided with Lord Raider. And these people are not really saints in politics. Now it's Uka's turn to be angry. She then asks the division for the reason why they haven't taken down these so-called nobles ASAP. She exasperatedly tells Alice that eliminating the root of all evil will solve everything quickly. Uka does have a point, but Alice deems this an impossible task for their division, which is mainly focused on stealth and gathering information. Fighting isn't really in their books, this isn't their only problem. Lord Raider and his lackeys have also hired tough mercenaries. Bill sighs as he delivers this horrible information. If they rush in recklessly, they'll all be wiped out. The desperate nobles might even kill the king or prince, an ending they wouldn't want to happen. Ryu and Tiamat both focus on Bill's mention of a prince, so the king does have an heir. If this is the case, he should be able to make a pact with the Spirit King right away, correct? While this is technically true, Bill hashes out another but to this. The prince is only 5 years old, far too young to ascend the throne. Even if he could make a pact with the Spirit King now, he wouldn't know how to protect himself and would just get killed. As of now, the prince is apparently under house arrest. There's no guarantee he'll stay safe forever too. Especially if Lord Raider's plans on making a pact with the Spirit King falls through. The prince will probably be disposed of afterwards. Anyone who could threaten this lord's plans will just be hindrances to his ascension. Livid is probably the right word to describe Uka's current mood right now. To the princess, this is all preposterous. They're dealing with someone who takes away someone's freedom for their own convenience, and then dispose of them? The prince is only a child who's being underestimated right now. Before Ryu can stop her, Uka storms towards the door, promising to tear Lord Raider apart. But then she stops on her tracks as she remembers what had happened in that cave, when she helplessly stared at her grandmother's paralyzed body. All of a sudden, Uka calms down, telling Ryu they need to plan this carefully. If they acted recklessly, the lives of both the king and prince could be at risk. After apologizing, Uka urges everyone they make a plan to rescue the victims. A warm smile then forms on Tiamat's face. Oh, how our princess has grown. Back to business. Sharing the news of the auction in 3 days, Ryu tells everyone they'll need to make a move today or tomorrow. When Alice asks about this said auction, Ryu starts sharing to the division on what they know and found at the slaver's mansion. From what Alice has gathered, Ryu came because the elves asked him to rescue their captured kind and the spirits. This alone has Alice questioning on who exactly is Ryu. The beast tamer can only let out an awkward laugh as he listens to Bill expressing his surprise. Now they have added information. It makes sense now. To lure the spirits, the underground guild is capturing and controlling the elves. And this auction must be a way for nobles to fund hiring that said guild, Bill deduces. Not only that, but there's also a high chance the spirits are being controlled together with the elves. Question is, which guild is responsible for this heinous crime? Ryu hasn't gotten that far on their investigation though, which proves to be a troublesome matter now. Kind of like a dead end at this point, especially that there are 3 underground guilds in this country. If they can somehow figure out which one is directly connected to the slave traders, then there is still a big room for hope. Alas, Ryu recalls something. The underground guild specializing in poaching, the Black Fang Wolves, is actually directly involved with the slave traders. Bill beams at this revelation. Now they can start by tracking down the Black Fang Wolves. In the corner, Alice wonders why an ordinary merchant like Mark would have valuable information about an underground guild. I did tell you in the beginning, that man smells like fish. Bill then instructs everyone to split up in teams so they can investigate right away. One comrade worries about their fighting forces. Even if they gather information, it'll be too late for them to ask for reinforcement from their homeland. And besides, even if they do manage to save the king, it's hard to believe the king and his people will trust them since they're not citizens of this country. Bill lets out a sigh of frustration, asking why his crew chose today of all days to be this pessimistic. Bill understands it's a difficult matter, but they must act now or they might regret it. He then reassures his comrades not to fret about those things. Ryu suddenly butts in their conversation. asking the division members to leave it to him and his group. Ryu and his friends are more than ready for this mission to push through. They've gained confidence in their skills all throughout their journey. Dealing with the underground guild will be easy as pie. But before they head out for their separate tasks, Ryu shows the division the letter the Spirit King gave him. The Beast Tamer explains how it's a letter addressed to the Elk King. If they manage to deliver this, Ryu believes the king will trust them. Surprised, Bill and Alice hurriedly ask why Ryu would have something of importance with him. Just who is this guy? Ryu then explains more of it. When he said they were asked by the elves to rescue their kind, the request originally came from the Spirit King. Bill believes this letter might solve all the questions they've been asking and discussing earlier. Alice then stares at the letter, asking Ryu if he's opened and read it. But the Beast Tamer hasn't done so, thinking it's wrong to open it without permission. Suggesting they open it, Bill clarifies he wants to make sure what the letter says. If it says that the Spirit King will sever all ties with humans or the other way around. Although Bill feels bad for the Spirit King, he urges Ryu to open the letter and decide if it's really okay to hand it to the Elk King. Ryu reluctantly stares at Bill as he opens the letter. Reading the contents, the Spirit King asks the Elk King if he remembers the utopia they once spoke of a world where spirits and humans join hands, laugh together, and live in harmony. Not as beings who grant favors from above, but as eternal neighbors who support one another. This was a promise they made that day, but the world as it is right now is far from that dream. Even so, the Spirit King doesn't blame the Elk King. Even if the Elk King's position or his beliefs have changed, the Spirit King still believes that the promise they once made can be fulfilled. Silence echoes the room's walls as everyone takes it all in. The Spirit King hasn't given up on humanity just yet. Alice then knows their next step. They must deliver this to the Elk King at once. This is enough proof already. For sure he will believe the division. Filled with hope, Bill clutches the letter tightly while agreeing that this is something the Elk King must read. He then turns to Ryu, asking if he could entrust the letter to them. Bill promises to take full responsibility of the letter and will surely deliver it to the king. After Ryu agrees, Bill tells his comrades that rescuing the king and catching the underground guild would also round up all those corrupt nobles at once. That's like solving all their problems in one go. While they go and deliver the letter, Bill assigns Ryu and his comrades to infiltrate the Black Fang Wolves and all the underground guilds working for them. With this, 3 groups are formed for tonight's operation. Bill and some members being on the King's Rescue Team. Both Ruri and Karen will be on Underground Guild Suppression Team A, and Tiamat and Uka for Team B. For the last team, Ryu and Alice will surely do well on their job. That same night, the Suppression Team head out to a local bar where a bunch of men are drinking their night away. A bald man orders more and more drinks for him and his crew. One man joyfully asks if it's really okay to spend this much on booze, to which the bald man agrees. He then shares how those pompous nobles have been throwing some really lucrative jobs their way. Money isn't a problem now. The bald man then toasts his cup as he happily thinks the nobles have seen value in them now. After all, they've been very nice to these men these days. That is the end of the recap at Chapter 17. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.